Be cool, be kind, be classy. A cupcake so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. A cupcake sweet and sassy. Not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Hello. Hello, my friends. Today is Wednesday, November 26, 2025, and it is Thanksgiving Eve. It is Thanksgiving Eve, and if you're cooking, if you're cleaning, God forbid you're in the grocery store, but if you are, let me entertain you. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while to get through all of the papers, but it's what we do here. Sadly, there's no hyperlinks because I guess Mr. Cosgrove, Attorney Cosgrove, doesn't know how to do hyperlinks. I mean, he barely knows how to respond to a motion by the deadline. But surprise! He did. He did. I guess it was filed last night. Many of you may not have had a chance to read it. So therefore, I am happy to do that for you while you drive around like crazy people trying to get done whatever it is that you need to get done by tomorrow. I'm not hosting, so I can hang out with you guys all night if I have to. Yes. Oh, somebody said, you mean KP can't do hyperlinks? Well, you're going to find out that the KP that we thought that they were referring to when they were talking about getting Aidan at his kid's bus stop was not the Kate Peter that they say it was. They got another excuse for that. A lot of excuses. I don't know. It's going to be a cold read for me because I didn't really have time to read the whole thing either. But there's a lot of stuff going on today around the interwebs, and I guess from last night as well. So let's just cover a couple of them really quickly. One of them is that the House defendants, as they are called in the new Karen Reed case, the new civil action that Karen filed in Bristol County against everybody, the House defendants, Brian and Nicole Albert, Jennifer and Matt McCabe, and Brian Higgins, as well as Tully, Buchanan, and Proctor. Proctor's the first name, so it's really Karen Reed versus Proctor et al., which I love for him. The House defendants, who, for some unknown reason that in the land of the lost is a reason, all have the same attorney. We talked about him yesterday. I forget his name. Tuxbury, I think. He has filed a notice of removal to federal court. They want this case in federal court. And I say, do it. Do it. But again, one lawyer for all 5 House defendants seems to me like a textbook conflict of interest. But, here we are in the upside down, inside out. Massachusetts, do it. The reason I think they want it in federal court is because they don't want the cameras in there, and the cameras are never allowed in federal court. And great. Guess that's a good reason. A federal judge is going to decide whether or not he's got jurisdiction. But once that notice of removal is filed, nothing else can happen in state court until the federal judge decides whether or not removal to federal court is proper. In addition, oh, hi, Glare peeps. Hello, Glare Raid friends. I don't know what you guys call yourselves over there on Will's channel, but let me finish my thought before I go back to this morning's stream with Auntie Deb and Will, because I was laughing so hard. And you know, I think in song lyrics, well, there's this one song that just won't go out of my head after listening to it. And it's Bare Naked Ladies song called If I Had $1 Million. If I had $1 million, I'd buy you a house or I'd get a gig on Court TV. If you know, you know. If you haven't watched it yet, go back and watch it later. Because it was comedy gold. It's comedy gold. So the 5 House defendants with one lawyer filed a notice of removal to federal court and also said, and by the way, we've checked with Tully's attorney and we've checked with Buchanan's attorney, and they agree to remove it to federal court, but we don't really think that Proctor has an attorney yet, because what had happened in other news is that Proctor was served with a couple of subpoenas by Karen Reed's team in the other civil case. I know, stick with me, it's hard. In Plymouth, the O'Keefe's versus Reed and Waterfall and McCarthy's. And they filed subpoenas. They served Proctor with a subpoena all the way back in the summertime. And they said, we want a copy of your phone extraction. And they were going back and forth with Proctor's lawyer, who at the time was Dana Moynihan. And then eventually Moynihan was like, yeah, they kept asking for more time. And Moynihan was then like, yeah, we don't represent him anymore. We basically flew the coop and, left skid marks. We left so fast. We want nothing to do with Proctor. And so then they served Proctor the subpoena again to provide the records. And I think it's regarding his phone extraction. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And Proctor kept asking for more time. And at this point, he still doesn't have a lawyer that will represent him. And so they made a motion to try and get those records. And so really, that's it. The thing that I really, really want, I'm not going to get into the whole federal court thing now, because it's not what I'm here to talk about. I just wanted to address it. Because I know that everyone's going to come into the chat and try and tell me about it as if I don't know, and then want me to pivot to that. But today we're here to talk about Aidan's case, and that's what we're talking about. So I'm not going to get into the pros and cons. I could do a whole show on that, which is not the show that I have for today, because what I need is, and I can't find them, and I know you guys fall in the rabbit hole, and nobody that I know can find them. Apparently there's been some litigation going on about Karen's phones. And there's been papers going back and forth, and they're filed under that weird search warrant number that nobody seems to be able to get except Ted Daniel. And Ted Daniel has posted about the papers. He has not posted the papers. Here's just a quick piece on Boston 25 so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. They're still trying to get into Karen's phones, and they want her passwords. And, it's been a long time, and I'm sure she forgot her passwords by now. But like we say, are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear yet? And the answer is no. We're not out of the woods yet. We're not in the clear yet. And neither is Karen Reed. So let's watch this piece. I guess they just posted it moments ago on YouTube. And this is Boston 25 Investigates. And this is about the continued efforts to get into Karen Reed's phones with the papers that I cannot get my hands on. So if you can get your hands on the papers, and I don't just mean the cover sheet, I just don't mean one page of it. I have a feeling that because Ted Daniel had the exclusive, that once a day goes by or something, maybe the papers will reveal themselves magically. I don't think it's all the papers, though. I think there were a couple of pages. But anyway, here's the piece. I'm not talking about this today, so it doesn't really matter. Today's show is about Aidan, but let's just, because some people might have no idea what I'm talking about.
What happened to the phone state police took from Karen Reed nearly 2 years ago? It's a question 25 Investigates has been asking. Investigative reporter Ted Daniel found a battle over the phones behind the scenes.
Still going on?
As we've been reporting, the Massachusetts State Police has 2 iPhones belonging to Karen Reed. A special prosecutor wants to search them for evidence that she plotted with Aidan Kearney, a.k.a. Turtleboy, to intimidate people who testified against her in her murder case. For the first time, we're hearing from both sides.
Do you believe that the special prosecutor has the blessing of the DA's office to do this? I expect that he has the direction of the DA's office to do this.
Attorney Benjamin
Who's that?
Herbalist joined Karen Reed's legal team about a month ago.
Oh, well, I got to rewind. Oh, I'm sorry, Benjamin. Who? No. Benjamin Herbalist. Okay. Okay. This is after Buzang, I guess, quit. I guess. I don't really know. I don't know. I think he quit Buzang after the last court appearance. Or he resigned or he was fired. But I think he resigned is what I'm hearing. I don't really know the truth of it and I don't have receipts on it. So I'm not really gonna go into that. But let's get a look at this is the guy. Oh, this is the guy. This is the guy who had a boating accident a long time ago. Okay. Oh, and it's all coming back to me now. That's another song. Here we go. And we had this question too. And listen, I think there were public record requests made about whether there's any contracts between Cosgrove and the Norfolk DA's office regarding the prosecution of Karen Reed. And we got some contracts, but they did not have the case name on them because, work product and all. So it could actually be true that Cosgrove has now been retained as special prosecutor to prosecute Karen Reed in this fishing expedition for witness intimidation charges against Karen and Aidan. But let's talk about the special blessing, like a dispensation from the Pope, basically. Hang on.
Do you believe that the special prosecutor has the blessing of the DA's office to do this?
I expect that he has the direction of the DA's office to do this.
Attorney Benjamin Herbalist joined Karen Reed's legal team about a month ago. This is his take on why Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove won't return her phones.
I think it's a matter of Karen Reed being acquitted for murder, and there's still so much pressure from one side on the DA's office to get her for something.
Yep.
Cosgrove responded to us by email. He says the phones were seized prior.
Okay. All right. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Cosgrove responded to Ted Daniel by email, which is so funny, isn't it? Because Cosgrove's response was due, I don't know, over a week ago to Betterow and Bradle on Aidan's case. And nobody heard from Cosgrove. Nobody heard from Cosgrove when he was just blowing off deadlines to respond to the mega motion. And yet he responded to Ted Daniels' email. Well, I find that curious. He knows how to work email, but he doesn't know how to pick up the phone and ask for an extension and say, hey, guys, I'm running a little late. It's just me. I'm a one-man band over here. Let's take that back a moment. But he'll respond to Ted Daniel. And I agree with Mr. Herbalist that they just want to get Karen on something. But who's the one pushing the buttons? Who's the one behind the curtain? Who's the person behind the curtain? Because it's not Marcy. Somebody's telling Marcy to do this.
Cosgrove responded to us by email. He says the phones were seized prior to Reed's first trial in a related but separate witness intimidation probe.
John O'Keefe was found on the lawn of a guy named Brian Albert.
The probe centers around Reed's communication with the controversial content creator Aidan Kearney, who calls himself Turtleboy. Cosgrove says law enforcement has always planned to search the devices, and any suggestion that it is retribution is unfounded public relations spin.
Wow, they always intended to search the phones, but then what had happened was we just didn't. They've had these phones since January of 2024, and there was an order to release them by, I believe it was Judge Kearney. And then all of a sudden, when Karen got acquitted, they were like, uh-oh, holy F, we forgot to search the phones. It doesn't really seem fair that they can just hang on to them for however long they want, especially after there was an order to release them, and then just really, really, really try and get her for something else. And here's the thing, if Karen Reed was acquitted because, John O'Keefe was not hit by a car and stuff, and a car did not hit John O'Keefe and stuff, something else happened to John O'Keefe. And so these people who are now the alleged victims of Aidan Kearney for alleged witness intimidation, maybe more than witnesses, right? They may be under the law. And so they're trying really, 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 really hard. Didn't Hank get a taint team for searching her phones? Says Jilly. And yeah, I remember that there was some talk about that. Was that the when the Saints come marching in day when they tried to do it with Karen's team in the basement, and he tried to get Judge, I forget the judge that was on the bench. Tried to get the judge to release text messages, right? I don't remember if those were the privileged text messages between attorney-client, if those were the text messages between Karen and Aidan, or between Aidan and Karen's attorneys. But whatever it was, they came marching in like the Saints. And boy, if looks could kill, they probably will. Because that's what Norfolk County is. It's games without frontiers. Moving on.
Previous attempt to indict Karen Reed for targeting witnesses failed in front of a grand jury. Aidan Kearney, on the other hand, is facing witness intimidation charges, which he denies on the grounds of free speech.
Phones were seized and they haven't been searched.
No,
they haven't been.
And they can't be searched.
In a November 2025 affidavit, State Police Lieutenant Brian Tully confirmed Reed's passwords are needed to immediately access her phones.
And these are the papers that we need. We need these papers. We need Cosgrove's. First of all, we need Karen's attorney's opposition to search the phones. That must be Urbelis who filed that. Or it might have been Buzang who filed it. And then Cosgrove filed additional papers recently with an affidavit from Tully, which is wild because now Karen is suing Tully. And so there's a clear conflict of interest there. And it is my opinion, as of right now, even though I haven't seen the papers, that Tully has a conflict of interest. And so any affidavit that's Tully signs to support any papers by Cosgrove is not really going to be legitimate. They're going to have to find somebody else. Oh, that original hearing right was Judge Sisitsky. Thank you, Carolyn. That was the one when the Saints go marching in. And that that was Judge Krupp. And that was a more recent hearing. So let's just take that back a scooch.
They can't be searched.
They can't be searched, he says, because they don't have Karen's password words. Yeah, but if they've had them for over 2 years, I don't know. Is anybody a gray key expert? How long does it take for gray key to break into the phone? You know, is it longer than almost 2 years? Because it's been almost 2 years. Let's just try and keep the chat classy. I see a couple of just reminders from the mods because there's some wacky stuff happening on YouTube. Like Justice Served has had a couple streams taken down because of I don't know what, alleged bullying or some crap like that, because they've been doing streams on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. So just please be mindful of what you write in the chat because everyone is watching. The world is watching, not just this mishigas of a case, but they're watching the chat as well. So the mods need to keep it tight in here. And it's just a friendly reminder to guide your actions accordingly. If 6 digits, it can be 35 years, I think. I don't know. That I have no idea. I don't know. Here you go. Listen, here's Tully in all his glory.
November 2025 affidavit, State Police Lieutenant Brian Tully confirmed Reed's passwords are needed to immediately access her phones. Tully argues that Reed's conversations with Kearney did not cease after Kearney's devices were seized, and her devices may yield evidence of any such conversations.
I think that the case against Turtleboy flies in the face of the First Amendment as well. I hope that this investigation into Karen Reed, which seems like retribution, finally comes to an end.
Cosgrove tells me he works independently of the Norfolk DA's office.
I'm sorry, what judge? Cosgrove? Oh, I mean, now you're not a judge anymore. You're a retired judge, but you did used to sit on the bench in Norfolk County, right? He works independently from the Norfolk DA's office, but they do pay him quite a hefty sum, as I recall, because remember we looked through all of the invoices of how much he's been paid to persecute Aidan Kearney, and now with his new assignment to try and find something on Karen Reed, I'm sure he's making more money than that, but I think Attorney Urbelis is right. Retribution payback's a bitch? Is that what it is? Is it payback for being acquitted? I mean, kinda. Doesn't it seem that way to the world? And don't you hope that the new candidate for Norfolk DA's office wins, Adam Deitch, because he was involved in the whole Josh Levy investigation into the investigation of the death of, into the investigation of the murder of John O'Keefe. And so he knows all the backdoor secrets. And he's running for DA. He's announced it. And I think I think it's been confirmed that he's not running, but I'm not quite sure. So I can't report that to you with 100% certainty. But let's just take this back a second.
He says he filed
An end,
Cosgrove
which seems like retribution, finally comes to an end.
Cosgrove tells me he works independently of the Norfolk DA's office. He says he filed a legal memo during Reed's second trial stating this investigation was moving forward. We'll be watching to see what Judge Krupp decides. For 25 Investigates, I'm Ted Daniel.
We'll be watching to find out what the judge decides, except for that we have no idea where to find the papers because there is no existing case number for this. They're not filed under Aidan's case, even though the title or the caption, as it were, is Commonwealth versus Aidan Kearney. They are filed under a search warrant number, and that docket number does not exist in the mass court system. So they are hidden somewhere in a drawer, maybe in a drawer. Is Proctor in charge of them? I don't know, but the papers are not available to anybody but Ted Daniel, it seems. The case is caseless. Proctor is lawyerless. And Aidan Kearney's case should be stateless because Cosgrove has a clear, unwaivable conflict because Lindsay Gattani is going to be a witness in the remaining case from 2023. Lindsay Gattani's case, the case involving Lindsay Gattani directly, was dismissed, withdrawn by Marcy's office, just dropped. The 2023 case involving the House defendants and others against Aidan Kearney is still pending, and Lindsay Gattani is 100% a witness in that case. And because Lindsay Gattani is suing Cosgrove and Tully, Cosgrove is conflicted out of persecuting Aidan Kearney. So the fact that he even responded to this motion is mind-numbing in many ways to those of us who have practiced law in decades in other jurisdictions. Even those who have practiced law in Massachusetts, it's mind-numbing. And he also didn't respond to the motion to have him conflicted out, right? So the only motion that he's responding to here is the motion, the mega motion. So let's go. It's going to take us a while. I spent 23 minutes on an intro, and so here we go. First paper in the series is paper number 118, and this is the Commonwealth versus Aidan Kearney. This case is specially assigned to Judge Belezos, B-E-L-E-Z-O-S. Yes, there's a new judge. There's a new judge in town, and his name is Belezos. And this is what purports to be the Commonwealth's motion for 1, leave to late file, and 2, impound the Commonwealth's appendix. Well, this was just filed, I think, yesterday. Today's the 26th. It's dated the 24th. I think it was just filed and served yesterday. And, oh, wait, here, it's stamped. Wait, hold on. The 25th. What's today? Today's the 26th. So this was just filed probably by, close of business yesterday. Oh, yeah, 4:13 p.m., of course, on the eve before Thanksgiving. And I guess it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. Now comes the Commonwealth and moves this court for leave to late file its memorandum in opposition to Attorney Bettero's affidavit in support of motion and associated submissions. As reason, therefore, undersigned counsel states that despite diligent attempts to complete the work by November 17th, additional time was reasonably required. Among the reasons for delay, undersigned counsel underestimated the necessary time for both these matters and another matter due the same day on a case before Judge Krupp, and also encountered delays in procuring requested affidavits. Well, time management sounds like a you problem. And how about, I don't know, you pick up the phone and call the other side and just ask for consent? They'd probably give it to you. They've given you everything else instead of waiting for the night before Thanksgiving to serve them with your whopping opposition, which is many pages long. Could have made a courtesy call. That's what real lawyers do. That's what lawyers do. They extend courtesies to each other because you're going to run into the same attorneys for years and years and years all throughout your career. And yes, it's your only case. It's just Irish says it's your only case. No, but apparently now he's also persecuting Karen Reed. So when he talks about the fact that he has another matter before Judge Krupp, I believe he's talking about the Karen Reed phone issue, right? The Commonwealth also moves to impound its appendix and will supply a redacted copy for the public docket. The few redacted passages are in whole or part references to an individual's medical condition, are rightfully private, and are of no significant public interest. XOXO, Bobby Cosgrove, Special Assistant District Attorney, dated November 24th, 2025, and filed by the court 4:13 p.m. yesterday. Okay. Moving on. Karen Reed isn't giving up the password, says John Doman. I don't know that they've asked for the passwords, and I don't know that she's been ordered to give the passwords. And I am curious to see where that's going to go. This is docket number 119. This is the Commonwealth's memorandum in opposition to Attorney Bettero's affidavit in support of motion and associated submissions. But before we start reading that one, because this one's, how many pages is this one? Let's see, 26 pages, but a lot of it's exhibits. Don't get scared. And then affidavit in support is 16 pages, but that is also some exhibits as well. So just settle in for a long winter's night. Get yourself something to drink, hydrate, make some popcorn. Let's just look to the chat for one moment while we welcome our new members. DK, thanks for becoming a member. And Tazo says, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for being here for 14 months. Michelle's been here for 16 months, 17 months. She says, I'm here for it, Mel. Let's go. Let's go. Murder Mittens 23. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. And thanks for the surprise invite. Thanks for being here for 6 months. And look at this. Friend of Dog gifting 10 memberships so early in the stream. You're amazing. Welcome to the 10 new members. Don't forget, as a special perk, you have special emojis as members, and most of them actually have to do with the Karen Reed case. We are outraged. We are outraged. Lies, lies, lies. Nope. Smooth as butter. The sigh. Remember that sigh, the judge's sigh, the leaf blower, the solo cup, the puffy jacket. What, if any? Wait for us. Boss baby. Rubber duck. How dare you? Chloe is in there. And there's a binky for Hank because he used to whine like a baby so often that we called him Boss Baby. We had the Boss Baby emoji for the Robert Tellis trial because his employees called him Boss Baby because he was such a mean boss. But then we just reused it because that's what we do. We recycle. We upcycle. Thank you, Friend of Dog, for gifting 10 memberships. You're amazing. Case Unwinder, thanks for your 10. I'll say about the response that it's corrupt. Thank you for your 10. You're awesome. Bridget, thank you for your 5. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Hey, it's Mel. Thanks for your compliment. Says, thanks for doing this today. And also compliments me. Thank you for being here for 5 months. DoorDash in with you as my co-pilot. All right, you're DoorDashing. Do it, Paul. Do it. I bet it's busy tonight because nobody wants to cook the night before Thanksgiving. I hope you make lots of tips. And Pammer says, Melanie going live makes my workday fly by. You're welcome. Thanks for your super chats on top. Thanks for your super sticker. Case Unwinder, another hot 10, says that would be the in-ray search warrant motion and or hearing, right? Isn't it tied to a case? It isn't tied to a case number. No, it's tied to the search warrant number. The caption of the case is Commonwealth versus Aidan Timothy Kearney. but it's a search warrant number that's attached to it, and it just doesn't come up when you try to search it. Thank you, Case Unwinder. Hopefully you can find it. Hopefully you can unwind it for us. Barry Adams says, we cupcakes aren't either ors. We are yes ands. We keep it classy and have no quit. Yeah, that's what they do in improv, right? Yes and. We don't sit on fences here, because the only thing that's going to happen from me sitting on a fence is that I'm going to get splinters, and nobody likes splinters. Thanks for your 10, Barry Adams. Josh is here and says, the irony, Judge Belizos was appointed to the bench to replace Cosgrove. Belizos was a defense attorney. Interesting. Interesting. Thanks, Josh, for your 5. Laura Ambrose says, I love your necklace, Melanie. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, thank you. I think it's my Amazon shopping link, which is in the show notes below the video. And isn't it awesome? It's only like $20. I love this necklace too. In fact, there's somebody else that I follow on Instagram, and she posted a link to it, and then I bought it, and then I'm like, oh, I got to put this on my list for you guys because it's a pretty awesome necklace. Hang tight. I love dupes that look like the real thing. I'm into it. Thanks for noticing. The Watcher says, did you ask for another extension? No, denied. Well, I know judges that would deny it if you're late. But I don't know what this judge is going to do, because I don't know anything about Judge Belizos. Thanks for being here for 10 months. It's Steph on the Cape. Says, hi, Melanie and Cupcakes. Please welcome my mom. First time listening, and I'm catching her up, but who'd believe it all really happened? Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to Steph and Steph's mom. Everyone give Steph's mom a warm welcome. I think you're going to like it here. I'll try and keep it clean today, which I normally do. Mama Cass KT gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. You're adorable and so generous. Thank you. Jedi Jen says, take your blood pressure meds before reading. I don't take blood pressure meds, but I will. Thank you for reminding anybody who does to please take your meds right now. Jedi Jen has been here for 14 months, and I guess she's already read the papers. Happy Thanksgiving, Thunder Horse. And thanks for being here for 5 months. Happy anniversary to you and me, Jeannie, Karen Reed for governor of Massachusetts. Our 4-month anniversary, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Chris became a member. Welcome. And Ms. Holmes has been here for a year. Happy 12 months to be a member of your channel. Love you. And Dobie Mama, 15 months. Happy Thanksgiving to Melanie family from the UK. All the way across the pond, you can see the corruption, right? Right, Dobie Mama? Thank you. All right. Isles versus Bruins at 7 p.m. Says Scott. We'll wrap by 7, Scott. Don't worry. You're going to be able to watch the game. No worries. No worries. All right. Here we go. Are you ready for it? Baby, let the games begin. This is the Commonwealth's memorandum in opposition to Attorney Bettero's affidavit in support of motion and associated submissions. We call it the mega motion with hyperlinks. Took us 15 hours to get through, but boy, was it fun. The defendant has filed a group of documents supporting an unfiled motion or motions, most notably what is effectively a motion for reconsideration of the denial in large part of the defendant's previously filed and decided McCarthy-Odell motion to dismiss. The present defense documents include Attorney Mark A. Bettero's affidavit in support of motion, various exhibits, it's 87 pages, yes, various exhibits, about 55, and a memorandum of law in support of motion to dismiss the indictments, which was 30 pages. Functionally, it is difficult to distinguish the Bettero affidavit from a memorandum of law, although it also serves the function of informing the court of what unfiled motions it is supporting. Is he talking about the Bettero letters? I have to keep reading because he's already giving me a headache with his word salad. We have a salad emoji for that. It's word salad. Attorney, former Judge Cosgrove, triple dip. Here's the thing. I don't know, maybe they don't do this in Massachusetts. Maybe this is not the way it works in Massachusetts. Maybe my brother and my sister don't give courtesies, like, try and work it out without wasting the judge's time by sending letters asking for discovery that you're entitled to. And in fact, delineating exactly what that discovery is because it exists, but it was deleted from the phone extraction that you were provided. Big boys and girls get out there, they put their big boy girl lawyer pants on and they write letters to each other to try and not waste the judge's time. It's called in the interests of judicial economy, and ask for things. And usually they're responded to. But in this case, you didn't respond to any of those letters. So weird, isn't it? See how snarky he can get. Better affidavit, paragraph 1, A through C. In brief, the defense seeks 1, outright dismissal of the pending indictments pursuant to Commonwealth v. Odell, or alternatively, an evidentiary hearing in support of that aim. 2, dismissal of the indictments for the Commonwealth's alleged failures in providing discovery. And 3, disqualification of Special Prosecutor Ken Mello. Well, didn't they also move to disqualify Cosgrove? Am I in the inside out? Aidan Beckett says this isn't word salad, it's a word barbecue. After setting forth these aims, the Bettero affidavit first lurches. Oh, you do not ever describe Mr. Bettero as lurching anywhere. He would never lurch. Oh boy. Lurches into a section entitled Background, which is essentially a hagiographic portrait. Oh, now he's going to bust out the thesaurus. What is hagiographic? I'm going to have to Google that word. If anybody wants to Google it themselves and put the definition in the chat, please do. Hagiographic. Because we need it. We have word of the day. The Bettero affidavit first lurches into a section entitled Background, which is essentially a hagiographic portrait of the defendant as a crusading heroic journalist, fearlessly pursuing the truth, exposing the falsehoods the Commonwealth's witnesses in the Karen Read case, the falsehoods of the Commonwealth's witnesses in the Karen Read case. It's covered by the court stamp. Laying bare the corruption of local and state police, and bravely resisting the attempts of the forces of evil, aka the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, to deter him in his courageous and never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the First Amendment. Well, I mean, if the shoe fits. If the shoe fits. Oh, what an excellent word. Thank you for looking up the definition for me. Lamassus. Hagiographic describes writing that idealizes or idolizes its subject, often presenting them as an almost larger-than-life, flawless figure. Originally, it referred to saints' lives. Well, I mean, look, if the shoe fits, right? Saint Turtleboy. I think we now have to dub the Saint Turtleboy. He is larger than life, though. I mean, he is, right? He's not flawless. We all have flaws, but he is larger than life. Hagiographic, says Deb Vitt, overly idealized biography writing about a person's saintly qualities while ignoring flaws. Okay, well, I mean, I think Cosgrove never has Saint Turtleboy. He shall now be known as Saint Turtleboy. Saint A. Timothy Kearney, even better, Greta. Saint A. Timothy Kearney, I hereby dub you. Okay. In reading, here's another word. I mean, he's got to keep doing this. In reading Bettero's encomiums to Saint Kearney. Oh, he does call him Saint Kearney. I thought I made that up. One is irresistibly reminded of Oscar Wilde's comment on the death of little Nell, the virtuous child in Charles Dickens' The Old Curiosity Shop. Quote, one must have a heart of stone not to laugh. Oh my God, this is a brilliant work of fiction. The Commonwealth has had occasion to respond to such drivel in the past. Drivel? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you just say drivel and lurch about Bettero within the scope of like 2 paragraphs? Oh boy. I haven't checked in with Bettero today, but I will. And with some reluctance, now does so again. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you reluctant to respond to a motion that was filed in court? Is that why you're dragging your feet on this? It wasn't really because it was too hard. You don't have a choice, but you're reluctant to respond to such drivel. Oh boy. Oh boy. There's a binky for you. He is comparing Bettero to Oscar Wilde, however. And Dickens may be in the same. I mean, Bettero's still laughing. Encomiums. Someone can put the definition of encomiums, encominums in the chat so we can all learn today. Defending Kearney is self-employed, supporting himself via a variety of internet presentations, appearing on such outlets as YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitter. Okay. Usually refers to someone's maiden name. That's typically how it's used. So in case you were wondering, the maiden name of X is Twitter. I mean, I just can't. He broadcasts quite frequently, at least 4 times a week, and has monetized his productions in various ways, including selling subscriptions, begging online for contributions, begging. He begs. He's a beggar. Please, sir, may I have some more? This is the Broadway show Oliver, starring Aidan Kearney. I mean, maybe Cosgrove could play like, the Grinch or something. Selling t-shirts, etc. Well, there's some other people selling t-shirts too that are dragging him to New Jersey for it. He attempts to present himself to the viewing public, much as he seeks to portray himself to this court as an, quote, investigative journalist reporting, quote, matters of public concern, who, quote, often breaks stories by conducting investigations into matters neglected by law enforcement before viewers' very eyes live on the air. Well, tell me what's wrong about that. The, quote, crusading journalist pose. Oh, now he's a poser? Ebenezer Cosgrove. Well done, Mitchell. Cosby betrays his parochial school education. The crusading journalist pose is supplemented by assertions of virtuous moral outrage, fearlessness in the face of opposition, and crass vulgarity, as seen, for example, in the opening to his YouTube shows, which begin with an extensive repeated chant of, I'm going to F you up. Well, you know what's kind of funny about that, Kazi G, as I'm sure everyone in the chat will tell you? That is a direct quote from the man that you call Colin Albert. Wasn't that a direct quote from Colin Albert? I'm going to F you up. Yes, that was Colin. That was his message to the Advantage Boys, Kazi. Did you not pay attention? Did you not watch season 1? It's the only season he testified in. And I got some I Love Sarcasm says, before this, I felt bad for this old man. Now I just have disdain. Yes, it was, but I guess he didn't know that. The indictments against Kearney at issue, explain something to me. Why did he, okay, it quotes liberally from its response to defendant's previous motion to dismiss. I'm sorry, who's it? Okay, so are you calling yourself it, Mr. Cosgrove? Are you saying that you are now quoting from your previous motion to dismiss, so you really didn't do any new work on this? You just bang, bang, pull up, Melanie. Right, Brittany? Bang, bang. Thank you. Thank you, Denise, who says, encomiums equals a speech or piece of writing that praises someone or something highly. Well, I mean, who do you think pulled out the thesaurus on this? I don't know if it's his real writing. I don't know. It sounds like I feel like we're in the middle of an SNL presentation. It's like Weekend Update. And Colin Jost is behind me laughing his ass off. So I guess he's calling himself it, and he's saying, I'm just going to quote to you what I wrote before. The indictments against Kearney at issue in the defendant's original motion to dismiss McCarthy Odell largely, perhaps entirely, grow out of his activities connected with the Karen Reed case and its witnesses. Footnote 1, which says, a subsequent set of indictments against Mr. Kearney named a former paramour turned informant for the Commonwealth, Lindsay Gattani, as an alleged victim. Oh, but here's the thing, Ebenezer Cosgrove. This, as you are now labeling Ms. Lindsay Gattani, former paramour turned informant for the Commonwealth, she's now suing you, sir. So how is it that you are even responding to this instead of responding to the motion to disqualify you? She's suing you. Those indictments have since been dismissed by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office. And why is that? Why? Because now you're referring to Lindsay Gattani as an alleged victim. So are you saying that you don't believe that she was a victim? Are you saying that the indictments were dismissed because you are now going to call Lindsay Gattani a liar? And are you now saying that you don't need to be disqualified from this case because your position is going to be consistent? You're going to call Lindsay Gattani a liar in the case where she sues you, and you're also going to call Lindsay Gattani a liar when you put her on the stand as a witness against the McCabe's, Alberts, Julie Nagel, and all of the other people that you claim are victims? Okay. Reed has pleaded not guilty to charges of second-degree murder, manslaughter while operating under the influence and leaving the scene of the motor vehicle accident after personal injury that resulted in death. Okay, here's the problem, Cosgrove. When you pull the same BS from your old response, it doesn't take into account that Karen Reed has been acquitted of that, okay? So this is embarrassing to read. I'm going to read it to you anyway, because he's putting it in his papers for the world to see, and now the world is laughing. Ann says Cosgrove just got his AOL connected. Here's what it says. Reed is pleading not guilty to charges of second-degree murder, manslaughter while operating under the influence and leaving the scene of the motor vehicle accident after personal injury that resulted in death. As recently summarized in the press, the Commonwealth alleges that Reed backed her Lexus SUV in a drunken rage into her boyfriend, Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe, early on January 29th, 2022, after dropping him off outside a Canton home following a night of bar hopping. And then it just says, for some unknown reason, Anderson, Travis, and then there's a quote, prosecutors oppose, I guess these are the authors of this Boston Globe article. Okay. Prosecutors oppose motion to dismiss charges against Karen Reed, call allegations of evidence tampering baseless, citing a Boston Globe article, February 28th, 2025 at 11:27 a.m. was when the article was posted, because that's relevant. The defense claims that Reed, quote, was framed and that O'Keefe entered the house owned at the time by a fellow Boston officer where he was fatally beaten in the basement and possibly attacked by a German Shepherd before his body was planted on the front lawn. Citing, I guess, the same article from the Boston Globe. And everything that you're seeing here, many of you may not be watching the screen. You may just be listening in your car or shopping or whatever. Everything that is single spaced here is Cosgrove pulling from his old response to a different motion to dismiss in this case, but not taking into account the fact that she's already been acquitted. And so here we go. I'm going to keep reading all the single-spaced BS. At some point early in the Karen Reed prosecution, on or about April of 2023, Kearney made her the subject of some of his online presentations, apparently drawing a favorable audience response. One person who took note was Natalie Waiwiki Berschneider, who had attended Bentley College with Reed from 1998 to 2022 and was now living in California. In February of 22, Waiwiki saw news articles about Karen's arrest stemming from the death of John O'Keefe, prompting her to contact Reed and offer support. The two women began an ongoing series of conversations covering a number of topics, among them Reed's alleged innocence. Reed sent Waiwiki pictures of Colin Albert and suggested that he and O'Keefe shared mutual animosity. In April 2023, Waiwiki spoke with a Facebook supporter of Reed's who told her that she had a friend, Kearney, who would be willing to cover Reed's story. Waiwiki asked Reed if she would be interested, and she was. To facilitate communication about the case, Reed instructed Waiwiki to download a messaging app, Signal, which auto-deleted messages after a certain period. Right, why did this take so long if he just copied and pasted? Nicole wants to know, and I have the same question. Hold, please, while I take a sip. Waiwiki assumed the role of go-between between Reed and Kearney, with Reed sending her information and pictures and Natalie pasting it into text messages for Kearney. Waiwiki stated that these text messages included information regarding witnesses, the home address of Trooper Michael Proctor, pictures of witnesses, autopsy photographs, motions filed by her attorneys, police reports, and photographs taken by the MSP Crime Scene Service Section. What does any of this have to do with answering Federo's mega motion? Yeah, and this is like 10 font. It's so small that I have to enlarge it so big on my screen so that I can even read it. In short, Reed passed along through Waiwiki everything Kearney would need to act as a press agent for Karen Reed. He was a press agent, right? While feigning the role of a crusading investigative reporter. Here's the thing. Aidan Kearney had been exposing corruption in the Commonwealth for 10 years before the Karen Reed case ever came along. So you might want to just take a step back with your bad self there, Kazi G. In short, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty funny, right? Reed would sometimes point out mistakes in Kearney's blog presentation to Waiwiki. For his part, Kearney would ask questions about court paperwork, with which Waiwiki would forward to Reed, who would respond to her. Right, questions about court paperwork. God forbid. Reed and Kearney took pains to conceal their relationship from the public. I'm going to point out again, there is nothing wrong with a criminal defendant speaking to a reporter. Any reporter. I don't care if you want to call him a blogger, as if that's some sort of derogatory term, or an investigative journalist, or a beat reporter. There's nothing wrong with that. Defendants do it every day. Every day. It's not a crime. She would sometimes send him information, but tell him he could not put it on the air, typically because it was information that had come to her through discovery but was not public. Inferably, use of the information would alert this court and an observant follower of Kearney's, if such exists. Oh, is that a dig? That Kearney's followers are not observant? Anybody out there right now? There's over 6,700 of you here. It says here, and an observant follower of Kearney's, comma, if such exists. That is a direct insult to any of you who follow Aidan Kearney and consider yourselves to be observant people. But tell me this, riddle me this, Batmen and women in the chat. This diatribe from which he is quoting, which purports to be a response to the previous motion to dismiss, and only if you actually physically really, really know the answer, was the previous motion to dismiss response to the motion to dismiss penned by Mello or Cosgrove? I have a feeling it might be Mello, because I think that was made a long time ago before Mello But, Mello has been among the missing for a very long time as well. So I'm not sure if Cosgrove wrote it. And that might be why he says it instead of my. But I think this may have been the work of Mellow Yellow. Not really sure. And an observant follow of Kearney's, if such exists, that she was feeding him information. It's also clear that Reed enlisted the cooperation of counsel in coordinating her information dumps to Kearney. Lieutenant Bryant Tully's testimony provides a telling example. Well, here's the thing. He's conflicted out now too. In mid-May, Kearney sent Wiki a picture of himself wearing a t-shirt depicting a Google search bar with the phrase, "How long to die in cold?" a reference to a piece of evidence in Commonwealth v. Reed. Wait, I thought it wasn't evidence. I thought it was fake. Wiki responded, she will ask Reed if he can wear it to court. Wiki later tells Kearney, quote, "It's okay to wear the t-shirt, how long to die in cold. I got the okay," end quote. Kearney responded, "You asked Alan." An apparent reference to one of Reed's attorneys, Alan Jackson. Wiki responded, she replied, "Absolutely." Kearney wore the t-shirt at the July 25th, 2023 court date. Yeah, well, that's before it was illegal. That's before it was illegal to wear such things in the vicinity of the courthouse in Norfolk County. And look, here's a blank page. I don't know if it's redacted or just blank. But let's say that page was number 3, and then there's a blank page in here, and the next page is number 4. So I'm just going to say it's a blank page. It's a blank page. Remember when he said he was turning over like 5,000 pages of evidence or 6,000, and like 4,000 or 5,000 of them were blank? Remember back in the day when that happened? It was so funny. It is still so funny. Okay. We're still on the single spaced portion, which means he has pulled this. It's a cut and paste from the prior response drafted by, I don't know, someone who we're not really sure if it was Mello or himself. In early June of 2023, the two women had a falling out. Wiki had provided some encouragement and advice to Kearney over a proposed documentary. Upon learning of it, Reed became angry. An argument ensued, and the two women ceased to speak to one another. Wiki was aware, however, that Reed also communicated with Kearney through a John Silvera, and Wiki herself had provided Reed with Kearney's Signal username so that she could contact him directly. Grand jury summonses issued to Verizon requesting call detail records for 2 of Kearney's phone numbers, and the phone number Wiki provided investigators for Reed. The resulting why I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on here. Okay, this is supposed to be in opposition to Bettero's motion, right? This is not in opposition. This is not in support of his motion to now search Karen Reed's phones, which seems like this would be where it is more appropriate. Did he cut and paste it into the wrong document? Because I'm very confused. What does this have to do with the most recent motion to dismiss, which is based on things that don't involve this? Am I being gaslit again? Masslit? Right. Okay. It's not just me, right? Okay. Because I do know from the little tiny snippet of wherever those mysterious papers have been filed, I think Cosgrove is now arguing that because they use Signal, they need Karen's phone because they may be able to retrieve some Signal messages that weren't on Aidan's phone from Karen's phone. And it's one of the reasons I think that they now want to search Karen's phones, right? Am I making that up? Did I dream that? I think that's an argument in the very little that's come out, maybe from Ted Daniel. I don't know. Sheesh. Grand jury summonses issued to Verizon requesting call detail records for 2 of Kearney's phone numbers, and the phone number Wiki provided investigators for Reed, the resulting records showed 189 phone calls between those numbers, totaling over 40 hours. Okay, so what? Kearney continued to lie to the public about his cozy relationship with Reed. Now it's cozy, denying in an August 29, 2023 video that he was communicating with her or her lawyers. Obviously, the telephone was not the exclusive means of communication, as the two were also communicating, for example, through the Signal app. The defense says it developed in the first Reed trial as tendentitiously. Tendentitiously. Okay, this is our third word of the day. Tendentitiously. Tendentitiously. Okay, this is our third word of the day. That robot in the corner just like repeated everything that I said in my own voice. That robot in the corner just hold on. That's really spooky. Did you hear it? But it makes me wonder if really spooky. It's doing it again. Hold on. I think I know what happened. I think that somehow, because I have it up on my phone and I'm watching the chat on my phone, somehow it connected to that thing and it just started playing my own YouTube presentation through the thing. So weird. I told you guys that it was being lippy to me, right? Okay. It's the devil. I'm convinced it's a demon. Okay. Tendentitiously, who would like to volunteer to look that up? The defense says it developed in the first Reed trial as tendentitiously previewed by Kearney's statements and actions as it unfolded in court was something of a murder on the Orient Express defense. Okay, Grace Bay says tendentitious is expressing or intending to promote a particular cause or point of view, especially a controversial one. Now I need to know if it was Mello who wrote this. Everyone in the O'Keefe home. Oh, this is the murder on the Orient Express defense. Everyone in the O'Keefe home on the night in question, as well as the investigating officers and others, either murdered John O'Keefe or was complicit in the cover-up and framing of Reed, who was innocent. As the grand jury could have concluded from the evidence before it, in pushing this theory, Kearney attacked virtually every prosecution witness, including all people present in the house that evening, as well as certain of their family members. He also savaged, oh yeah, right. Here's the problem. It wasn't the O'Keefe home. Thank you, Glamasuz. Glamasuz says this was Cosgrove. Mello was checked out by early 2025, and the motion to dismiss was filed February 13th of 2025. Thank you, Glamasuz, for doing the Lord's work. And also, whoever just reminded me that this was not O'Keefe's home at all. As the grand jury could have concluded, in pushing, well, we just read that part. He also savaged O'Keefe's family members for their support of the Reed prosecution. In addition to his verbal attacks, the defendant harassed many of the witnesses by means of what he called a rolling rally, gathering a caravan of his followers to drive. Here's another word. Gray space. Are you on this? Seriatim. Seriatim. The word seriatim. I will put it in a sentence for you. Don't worry. gathering a caravan of his followers to drive seriatim to the homes of the witnesses where he denounced and taunted them with a megaphone. Seriatim, thank you, Grace Base again, taking one subject after another in regular order, point by point. I would say that that is Latin. Is that Latin in its root? Does it have a Latin root? Often exhorting them to, quote, tell the truth, which the witnesses understood as an accusation that they were liars. Well, or just how about tell the truth? And this is citing Commonwealth's opposition to defendants McCarthy Odell motion to dismiss, pages 2 through 5. Argument. Having previously brought and fully litigated a McCarthy Odell motion, the defendant has no right to bring a renewed attack on grand jury proceedings already upheld by this court. Arguments he previously raised have been considered and decided and are settled. Arguments that he failed to raise but could not have are waived. I'm sorry, isn't this motion based on like all kinds of like new evidence? Thank you, Suzanne, for pointing out on February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day, the defendant filed his McCarthy Odell motion to dismiss indictments for lack of probable cause and for the prosecutor's impairment of the integrity of the grand jury with misrepresentations of fact and law. At the time he did so, the Commonwealth had provided in discovery to the defendant all of the grand jury minutes. Among other things, he thereby necessarily had full and complete knowledge of the following. And then there's little dashes here instead of bullet points or numbers or letters. That the grand jury heard that Special Prosecutor Mello ultimately did not ask the grand jury to return an indictment against Kearney for illegally wiretapping Mr. Scanlon. All of the testimony of all grand jury witnesses, including Detective Lieutenant Tully, all of the instructions given or not given to the grand jury by Mr. Mello, and all questions and comments made by him, all of the excerpts of Kearney's online media presentations introduced in evidence and how they were identified on the thumb drives introduced as grand jury exhibits. Kearney originally told this court that, quote, the prosecutor impaired the integrity of the grand jury by misrepresenting fact and law, soliciting opinion, and distorting the state of the evidence by selective omissions. He specifically argued that the Mr. Mello's instructions to the grand jury were deficient and that he elicited improper opinion and hearsay. However, he did not bother to raise any argument concerning the absence of a wiretapping indictment alleging that Scanlon was a victim, and neither did he complain about the accuracy, completeness, editing, or titling of the video excerpts introduced as exhibits. Undersigned counsel, meaning Kazi G himself, filed a responsive memorandum, henceforth Response 1, addressing Kearney's arguments on March 5th of 2025. Okay, so that answers the question. He was quoting from his own response. On May 19th, 2025, having the benefit of both parties' memoranda, copies of the grand jury minutes, and copies of the online excerpts played for the grand jury by the Commonwealth, Judge Doolin issued a comprehensive decision allowing the motion in part, dismissing 6 indictments as presenting insufficient evidence, primarily those that named troopers as victims, but otherwise denying it. Right. So I believe there are 10 indictments remaining. Neither party moved for reconsideration. Neither party sought interlocutory appeal. Now the defendant wants to do it all over again. And that is such an important point that he gives it its own paragraph. Now the defendant wants to do it all over again. Writing on Kearney's behalf, Attorney Betterow has made the same arguments, having adduced various examples of alleged sins committed by Mr. Mello. Some the same as presented by Attorney Bradel in the first motion to dismiss. He plucks a few different examples, but all of them were readily available in support of the defendant's position in round 1. Oh, that's so cute. He's calling it round 1. The sins committed by Mr. Mello. What about the crimes committed by Mr. Mello. Do you want to talk about those? You just want to call them sins for now because now we're on this whole Catholic Saint A. Timothy Kearney trek. And look, somebody's already changed their name to Free Saint Turtleboy. Free Saint Turtleboy is in the chat. And Makazi G is here saying, man, this is a tough day for me. Oops. Oops. Come back. Come back. Come back to me. He plucks a few different around one. As one justice of this court has aptly put it, a motion, quote, is not a dry run or a dress rehearsal to come back once an adverse ruling is obtained to try and do it all over again. See, Commonwealth versus Pagan, which is interesting because now Pagan has entered the chat and it goes with our whole religious theme. For those of us who went to Catholic school, we are being, might have a little PTSD. Hold on a second. To be sure, quote, a judge may permit a motion that has been heard and denied to be renewed when substantial justice requires, under Rule 13. Such instances should be rare, however, lest, as said in a different context, judges would become Penelopes, forever engaged in unraveling the webs they wove. Okay, Penelope has entered the chat. It is a tangled web we weave. Who gets the Penelope reference? Renewal, however, is typically appropriate where new or additional grounds are alleged which could not reasonably have been known when the motion was originally filed. In the Superior Court, a motion for reconsideration shall be based on one, newly discovered evidence that could not be discovered through the exercise of due diligence before the original motion was filed. Number two, a change of relevant law. Or number three, a particular and demonstrable error in the original ruling or decision. A motion for reconsideration shall otherwise raise no new grounds for relief not raised in the original motion or opposition, and shall not reiterate previously advanced arguments. Well, if you want to talk about due diligence, why don't we talk about doing some due diligence in trying to find out the actual titles of Aidan Kearney's YouTube presentations instead of relying on your not so confidential informant, your volunteer not so confidential informant, Kate Peter, to rename the streams or clips for you. That would have been due diligence. Samantha says, my 6-year-old is named Penelope and she just came out to the living room when she heard you say Penelope, asking me what I wanted. Hi, Penelope. Thanks for watching, Penelope. Learn all about the law. Learn all about the law. Wait, was Penelope a character in Charlotte's Web? I should know that because I played Charlotte in Charlotte's Web. Hold on. Was Penelope the little girl in Charlotte's Web? That would make sense. Okay. I'm like, I thought he was like referring to some Shakespearean thing. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. It's from the Odyssey, says Katie. But could there, what was the little girl's name in? I saw Charlotte's Web. Penelope says hi to everyone. Hi, Penelope. We love you. Thanks for watching. This is a public service announcement. I need to interrupt the stream for a public service announcement. And that is the Powerball jackpot has ballooned to $681 million. Get out there and get your tickets. Get your tickets. It's going to be drawn tonight. Get out there and get your Powerball tickets. If you're out there, if you were out there braving the traffic, her name is Fern. Thank you. I thought her name was not Penelope. Thank you. It's an Odyssey reference. Okay. That tracks. Get out there and get your Powerball tickets. Okay. I'm here to help. The defendant's motion for reconsideration flouts each and every one of the three prerequisites, which may explain why he shrinks from honestly labeling it as a motion for reconsideration. Oh, man. So far, you have said about Bettero that he lurches. You're besmirching him, first of all. You're besmirching him by saying that he lurches. He shrinks. And what was the third thing that he said? It's insane. Misinterpretation says that Penelope weaved all day and tore it out at night to stave off marrying her captor. Oh, excellent. She unwove her tapestry every night to put off the suitors in her home and give Odysseus more time to return home. That's like one of those classes that like I never paid attention when we read the Odyssey. I think I was supposed to read it and I was just like too busy. I was just like, yeah. Lurches, shrinks, and there's a lot of besmirches in here. Drivel, that's what it was. Lurches, drivel, shrinks. He's besmirching all over the place. He's so rude. But, he's just getting snarky, I guess. In his initial motion, the defendant did not attack, as he now does, any of the video evidence offered by the Commonwealth. For his present motion for reconsideration, he now claims that the prosecutor and Detective Tully, one, deceived the grand jury by grouping videos the Commonwealth offered as evidence of intent on a folder on the thumb drive, exhibit labeled as intent. Well, isn't that true? Didn't they do that? Is he going to deny it, or is he just going to say, too bad, so sad you didn't bring it up last time? Two, showing edited clips that allegedly deprived the grand jury of viewing Kearney's actual full episode, many well over 2 hours long. Oh, God forbid. You're only talking about indicting a guy on 16 charges, each of which carries like up to 10 years in prison. So, God forbid you make them sit there for 2 hours. And three, assigning titles to the edited clips that did not match the titles that Kearney assigned the full episode. Oh, it's going to be a whole episode. Full episodes. It is a whole episode. Although, as the Commonwealth will shortly develop, these arguments have been entirely waived by their omission from the first motion to dismiss. It first stoops to briefly... You got to stoop? Really? You got to stoop down to their level, Cosgrove? It first stoops to briefly address the substance of Kearney's newly raised claims concerning the videos. Oh, good. Let's hear your explanation for this. By all means, go on with your bad self and try and talk your way out of this when, in fact, you shouldn't even be responding to this because the conflict is not waivable. Wait, Glamasuze, you can buy a Powerball ticket from your phone? I had no idea. You just taught us all something. Powerball's like Lotto. Yes, it is in all 50 states. If you're here in the U.S. Court Chop says Bettero, Mega Motion, Cosgrove, Bad Weave. Comment of the day so far. Thank you, Court Chop. Yep. Steve, I was like, 2 hours? This guy is 10 days late with his response. Yeah, better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission, I guess. And here he is stooping to briefly address the substance, in quotes, substance of Kearney's newly raised claims concerning the videos. Number one, Tully never testified that Kearney created the thumb drive folder labeled intent, into which Tully placed the videos showing Kearney's intent. Okay, so now you're saying Tully's the one who did that? That it wasn't Kate Peter, it was Tully? Okay, all right. And no reasonable juror would have drawn such an implausible inference. Well, I don't know. You might want to ask them. I don't know if anybody who sat on the grand jury, they're not allowed to talk about it anyway. But I wonder if there's anybody out there who sat on this grand jury and is watching somewhere in the shadows, listening to me read this and saying, wow, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought when they put it up on the big screen, although knowing it's Norfolk County, they probably didn't even have a big screen. It was probably like a 13-inch Sony. That's exactly what I thought, was that the guy who's testifying about this placed his videos into a folder called intent. Is he going to call them stupid too? Not reasonable? Moreover, the jurors had available for viewing the video clips themselves and could view them and draw their own inferences as to Kearney's intent, right? And all they had to do was click on the folder called intent, and everything was right there. And all of the streams were entitled to show intent. You can't make this up. You can't make it up. If you have a blurry and fuzzy screen, you should go out of the stream and come back in, because it looks clear to me. Or maybe wipe off your TV or whatever you're watching it on. 50% of you, according to my statistics, 50% of you watch me on your phone. I think another 35% watch on a television, and then the remaining percentage is split between like tablets and laptops, maybe. Two, counsel's use of the term edited to describe the clips is artful in falsely implying that the contents were somehow modified or distorted. No, just the titles. Were that so, one might expect the 88-page affidavit to offer examples of the edits, but there are none. And that is because the edits consist entirely of exact clips of relevant content broadcast by Kearney. The only editing is selection. The appropriate course, according to counsel, would have been to show the entire episode for each show, or by Mr. Kearney's count, over 50 hours of content. Oh, here's another big word. Prescinding. Prescinding. Prescinding from any question as to whether, I think it means setting aside, prescinding from any question as to whether subjecting the grand jury to such an extended dose of Kearney video would have violated the constitutional prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment. Wow. Wow. You little biatch. We had no idea you had it in you. We had no idea you had it in you. Let's highlight this part in green. Wow. Let's hear that again. Prescinding from any question as to whether subjecting the grand jury to such an extended dose of Kearney video would have violated the constitutional prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment. Such a course would have inserted confusing and irrelevant material and doubtless would have generated additional defense arguments that Kearney was prejudiced because the Commonwealth presented evidence of other conduct for which it did not specifically request indictments. Wow. Wow. My head has popped off. It's on its way to Connecticut on the ferry. If anybody lives in Bridgeport, just take a look for my bouncing head, my popped head that has popped off and is now on the ferry to Bridgeport or New London. I'm not sure which ferry my head got on, but just send it on its way up 95 into Canada. I don't even know if 95 goes into Canada, but so what you're saying, what you're saying is that to subject the grand jury to that much Aidan Kearney would be cruel and unusual punishment. And you didn't do it because you were trying to be fair to Aidan Kearney. Come on. Come on. Oh my, this is comedy gold. If one were to seriously entertain the defense's play the whole video argument, a useful way of thinking about it would be by analogy to the trial doctrine of verbal completeness, which holds that where the Commonwealth places into evidence passages from a defendant's statement that it believes to support the charge, the defense may then put in such contemporaneous evidence from the same statement which contradict, modify, or otherwise throw light on the prosecution's passages. Time passages. Who sings that song? That just popped into my head. This rule is exhaustively discussed in Commonwealth v. Watson. That reminds me of that picture that was taken of Connor Keefe and this Trooper Watson that we never heard about again, who allegedly were in the room when Irene Scorti-Bello did the autopsy of Officer John O'Keefe. Remember that? And so I digress. Double Bend Leather Company says, Melanie, you keep me sane while starting my first set of treatments for a rare lung disease. Thank you. First of all, wishing you all of the healing vibes, Double Bend Leather Company. Everyone put some prayer hands in the chat for Double Bend Leather Company. And I hope that your treatments go well, and I hope you're not in any pain. But also, if it is going to cause you to laugh, which is going to impede your treatment, you have to turn it off. I don't want to be responsible for throwing back your recovery because I make you laugh. Hold on. Thank you, Al Stewart, saying time passages. Thank you very much. Fellow music lovers. Aidan's motion to dismiss has been rescheduled by the court. Is that indeed true? I did not get that memo yet, LL Macy girl. So it's not going to be on December 5th. I had my whole December 5th planned out. I don't know if that's true. I need receipts on that. Let me check my inbox and see if anybody has sent me receipts on that. Oh, thank you, Suzanne, who is sending me the breaking news that the December 5th of 2025 hearing that was supposed to be on the motion is now going to be a status hearing, and it is going to be on Zoom only. The parties are not to appear in person. The Zoom meeting will be open to the public promptly at 2:15 p.m. All who wish to attend are welcome to sign in. And here's what's going to be discussed on December 5th. Now, it's not going to be this motion to dismiss. Well, because I'll tell you why. I'm sure that Betterow is chomping at the bit, and he's right now in front of his device, whichever device it is that he chooses to write on, and is furiously drafting a reply to this. And he's probably going to need more time because, you know, tomorrow's Thanksgiving and this is a holiday weekend. And so here's what's going to be discussed. It says on that date, December 5th, counsel should be prepared to address the following issues. A, the status and potential impact of any motions currently under advisement. B, outstanding discovery and or discovery disputes. C, scheduling of in-person hearings on pending motions and or additional anticipated motions. D, potential joinder motions. E, potential trial dates. And it will be held on Zoom. And I'm sure it is only fair to give Aidan's counsel the opportunity to reply to this nonsense. Right? And so they need at least, I mean, look, it's a holiday weekend. December 5th is, and I'm sure the judge was like, listen, Cosgrove, like, you didn't even ask for an extension. Like, you filed your ask for an extension the same day that you filed your papers, which was yesterday, which was 8 days late. And that's number one. And number two, the defendant has a right to respond to it because December 5th is 9 days from today. And that's not including weekends and holidays. So if you consider that tomorrow and Friday could be considered holidays, that's only 1, 2, 3, 4 business days to reply. It's not enough. It's not enough. 7 days is standard. And that's okay. I'm sure Betterow is furiously typing right now. I won't bother him. Joinder just means like if they wanted to add any new parties. I don't think that it's applicable here. I don't think they're going to add in any new parties, but that's what that means. Joinder means adding in new parties. Okay. Joinders, joinder, like joining a new party. All right, so he talks about verbal completeness, and I left off at Watson, and then we got to, in the context of admission of documents, defendants have insisted that either the whole document or no part of it was competent. There is no such rule. That is citing another case. Of course, the standards of a grand jury presentation are less exacting than a trial's. A grand jury is not bound by the rules of evidence that hold a trial. 3, the grand jury hardly could have been misled by the titles Lieutenant Tully used to identify the excerpts he played for them. Consider the specific examples with which the defense singles out as misnamed and misleading episodes, i.e., those titled by Tully as, okay, so are you admitting that Tully is the one who titled them? Are you throwing Tully under the bus here? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And it might have been better. It might have been better to blame it on the not so confidential volunteer informant. I'm just saying. Those titled by Tully as, quote, trying to destroy Colin Albert's life. Life as normal is over. An impromptu live, 8/7/23. Alberts should be afraid. All of those titles were taken from Kearney's exact words, which the grand jurors saw and heard him speak as the YouTube clips were played, and which this court had as exhibits at the defendant's previous McCarthy-Odell motions to dismiss. Footnote 2. Which says, this is a Festivus letter, right? It's the airing of the grievances. Well done. Well done, Edward Scott. Footnote 2 says, quote, in trying to destroy Colin's life, Kearney begins by musing about whether Colin's aunt, Jill Daniels, whose photograph he displays, has a crush on him, a proposition he modestly thought at first to be ridiculous. After asking his viewers to weigh in on this important topic, he opines that it is wild because I'm like trying to put her like godson / nephew in jail and like kind of destroy their life. He italicizes that part. But she also likes me? Like what? 2 comments. Daniels is not a witness in the Reed case, but as a relative of a witness, Kearney considers her fair game for humiliation. Second, Kearney explicitly states the goal of his behavior with respect to Colin, destroy his life. Here's the other thing. The witness intimidation statute in Massachusetts is so broad that it also applies to a family member of a witness. Am I right? Am I right? Which is why he was able to catch. That's why he was able to catch charges on Elizabeth Proctor, because she's the wife of Michael Proctor. So like, why didn't they try and indict him also for Jill Daniels if what you're saying is true? Were her feelings not hurt by that? And didn't she like try and like physically attack him one time and he had some video of it like outside the DNA pizza place or something like that? Maybe I remember in the past. Oh, there's more, but wait, there's more. In Life as Normal as Over, Kearney shares the screen with a photograph one of his acolytes has snapped of Chris Albert when he was at period. When he was at period. He forgot to tell us where he was at. As the Commonwealth explained to this court on the previous go-round, such a go-round, isn't it? A merry-go-round. It's a merry-go-round and we just can't get off. It's like a merry-go-round on like those movies where you can't cheat death. Final Destination. It's like a merry-go-round on a Final Destination movie is what it's like. And it just won't stop. In episode 598, Life is Over Now, Kearney taunts Albert, suggesting that he will never be able to go anywhere in peace because there are turtle riders everywhere who will harass him and photograph him wherever he goes. It's only going to get worse from here. Although Chris Albert didn't personally kill John O'Keefe, he, quote, raised someone who did it and was helping to cover it up. He adds, Chris, I know where you guys were today. Y'all were in Agawam, weren't you? I got pictures of you on my cell phone. I got people sending me pictures. You guys were at some sort of Little League thing in Agawam. Alberts, McCabe's, all you people were there. So like, just know that there will be no life as normal as is over. Emphasis supplied. In quote, Alberts should be afraid. We're still talking about the YouTube presentations that were mislabeled by Tully, apparently, because Cosgrove was telling us everything. In Alberts should be afraid, Kearney assured his viewers that they had nothing to fear from the same Alberts, whom he routinely accused of being implicated in a murder. The jury saw and heard Kearney conclude, quote, I'm certainly not afraid of Brian Albert or Colin Albert or any of these punks. They're afraid of me. They should be. I would be if I were them. Emphasis added. If there was any prejudice, in quotes, to the defendant, Kearney himself was the author of it, damned not by sinister manipulation by the Commonwealth, but out of his own mouth. Damned not. This is like a Shakespearean tragedy, isn't it? Really is. All of the above examples, chosen and singled out not by the Commonwealth, but by the defendant himself via the Betterow affidavit, are illustrative of the truth of Lieutenant Tully's statement that he named the videos to accurately describe their content, often using the exact relevant phrases spoken by the defendant. Did he testify to that? Oh, no, that's in Tully's affidavit, which is attached here too, which we're going to read next. Tully's going to tell us everything. He's going to tell us that he's the one who named him, not Kate Peter. Okay. All right. Also, some of Tully's titles for excerpts were far more, oh, wow. Anodyne, A-N-O-D-Y-N-E. He really wants us to get our dictionaries out today. Cosgrove does, or thesauruses. Also, some of Tully's titles for excerpts were far more anodyne, A-N-O-D-Y-N-E, than the Kearney titles for the full episodes from which they were taken. To pose two rhetorical questions, if Tully's purpose were to use the excerpt titles to inflame the grand jury, would he really title the excerpt from episode 580, Elizabeth Proctor, dumbest wife ever, Brian Albert, opposition motion? The bland, quote, call to Elizabeth Proctor? Would he have toned down Kearney's drunken lardo Michael Morrissey declares war on turtle riders to response to DA Morrissey's statement? Well, of course he would. He doesn't want the public reading the phrase drunken lardo Michael Morrissey. And he also doesn't want the public reading Elizabeth Proctor, dumbest wife ever. But instead, he entitled it something that would not anger Elizabeth Proctor, just call to Elizabeth Proctor, and something that would not anger Michael Morrissey, like response to DA Morrissey's statement. Yes, we need hyperlinks to Webster's dictionary or thesaurus. Lieutenant Pez Dispenser Tully tells us that anodyne is an adjective that means intended to avoid causing offense or disagreement. Try and use that in your everyday life, everyone. Anodyne, A-N-O-D-Y-N-E. But the court need not wade into any of the defendant's contentions about titling of the excerpts because the defendant has waived the argument, failing to make it in his original McCarthy-Odell motion to dismiss. At the time he filed that motion, he obviously had available to him the full episode names that this time around he has lovingly memorialized. Lovingly memorialized. So many t-shirt ideas in a 3-page chart in the Betterow affidavit. He had all the relevant grand jury transcripts containing each and every word of Lieutenant Tully's that he now calls to the court's attention, including all the titles designating the clips played for the jury, which he previously ignored but now excoriates. He had copies of the grand jury exhibits, including each and every video exhibit played for the grand jury that he now references. No one knew better than the defendant himself what he had titled his original episodes and that they were lengthy, often well over 2 hours in length. It could not possibly have escaped his attention that the Commonwealth played not the full videos, but pertinent excerpts that the Commonwealth played, not the full videos, but pertinent, wait a minute, that the Commonwealth placed some of those exhibits in an electronic folder designated intent, which the defendant obviously knew he did not create, and that the names of the excerpts typically corresponded to their content, not to the titles he himself had given the full episodes. Nobody was better situated to make these observations than the defendant himself. Finally, even straining charity. Oh, wow, that's a good one. Even straining charity. We have It Strains Credulity merch, but now look at him. He's such a wordsmith. Bobby, you're such a wordsmith. Even straining charity to the point of believing Kearney was oblivious to the obvious. At the time he filed his McCarthy-Odell motion, the Commonwealth's opposition to that motion clearly should have alerted him to the issue in time to raise it at oral argument before Judge Doolin. Attorney Betterow correctly surmises that undersigned counsel had been unaware that the excerpt titles came from Tully, not Kearney, relying as undersigned counsel did on the exhibits introduced before the grand jury. However, for whatever reason, undersigned counsel nevertheless did notice one retitling and scrupulously called it to the attention of the court. In discussing the video excerpt confronting Jennifer McCabe at a lacrosse game, undersigned counsel stated that apparently the title was assigned by the Commonwealth. The video comes from a Turtleboy live broadcast entitled Asking Jennifer McCabe That Question. Does she know the answer? And that was in its original motion to dismiss. Somebody says this had to have been written with ChatGPT. That's funny, Lisa. All right. Before we move on to Kate Peters' involvement as an informant, let's go back to the chat for a moment, shall we? Take a look at some of the very many questions that have piled up here. Good Citizen is here. She says, my son just asked little G, who's that? Pointing to you. He then said, at this point, it's your aunt. Oh, how's our little cupcake, little G? How's she doing? Cutest baby ever. Barry Adams, thanks for your super chat. Barry Adams says, Mr. Betterow's dogs, because Kazi knows his literature better than they do. But if his second career is with words, this isn't the place or time, Kazi. Thanks, Barry, for your 5. And then Barry throws down another 10 and says, the only reason I'm sorry Mr. Betterow went into law is because so many kids missed out him being the coolest wordsmith to teach high school English and elective persuasive research and writing. Thank you for your time. And the watcher says, can we get an emoji for the members of a turtle with a saint thing on his head for Saint Turtleboy? That's hilarious. That's hilarious. And I will take that under advisement. Thanks for tuning in from across the pond for your super chat. Tracy says, did he maybe have a stroke while putting the responses together? Well, I don't know. I guess anything's possible, Trace. Thanks for your 5. And Mad96211 says, this is so cringe. He has lost all self-respect. Thanks for being here. 15 months. Carrie became a member. And Central Mass 508 became a member. Welcome, you guys. I think you're going to like it. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Lauren Mars, and for being here for 14 months. Cortisone said, is he saying the butler did it? Kind of. It's kind of like a game of Clue, like it was like Mrs. Peacock in the library with the candlestick. Thanks for being here. And Mac 1305 says, more observant than his office that supposedly misinverted video evidence presented in trial, but to continue, Koozie. Oh, Koozie's a good name for him. Also, Craft Haskell says, today has been declared Saint A. Timothy Kearney Feast Day. Amen. He says he works totally separate and apart from the DA's office, but I do hear what you're saying. Thanks for your super chat. Nay says, because of the corruption, Mass will get what they want one way or another. Everyone have a good turkey day. Thanks for your 5 and for tuning in. And Case on Winder says, I learned Greek mythology, so I get it. Thank you. Odysseus. Jeannie said the president of the United States belittles his opponents like this all the time. Kazi and Massachusetts are just following his example. Thank you for your 5 for tuning in from across the pond. Sue says the hearing on the 5th converted to a status hearing by Zoom only. Thank you very much. I read that out earlier to the people. Thank you, Sue, for your 5. Florence Not Nightingale says, thanks for doing this today. Keep me company while cooking. Happy Thanksgiving. A lot of you are cooking, so you can listen to me if you're cooking or driving or shopping or doing whatever. No, you can't put any links in the comments. It does not. YouTube automatically blocks them. So if you need to send me an email, my email is in the show notes below this video. Happy Thanksgiving, Florence. I do not respond to all my emails. I cannot possibly respond to all emails, but I do read them. David says, is this a motion or a list of grievances? It's Festivus for the rest of us, David. Thanks for your super chat. Lola says, what about Cosgrove's conflict issue? That's what I'm saying. He's not addressing that. And he's not responding to that motion. He's straining charity. He's out here straining charity for the world to see. Music to my soul says, not Cosgrove trying and failing to be a lessee. Kinda. Thanks for your super chat. Nay says liars equals deceiver, tipster, Tory teller, falsifier. Thank you. The deuce. And Lisa says this had to have been written with ChatGPT. Thank you, Lisa. And Real Steve F says the anodyne low T Kazi G actually used the word anodyne in this document. What a lazy, arrogant response. Go get him, Bettero. Thanks, Real Steve. Thank you, Real Steve, for your super chat. All right, let's get back to the papers. Because you guys got, sweet potatoes to whip and fresh cranberry sauce to make. And you got to make the stuffing today because really, stuffing is so much better. Day 2, after all the flavors have a chance to marry, Know what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? All right, let's see. Betsy, thank you so much for your compliment. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, my love. I appreciate you so very much. That was through Venmo. Oh, and then you guys, I am Italian. I'm Italian and Irish. Can you tell? You guys, Sarah, thank you so much, very much for your Venmo. She says, I wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for always being here and keeping it classy. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Sarah, and yours. So before this stream, did I talk about this yet? Did I talk about my conversation with Charlie Sheen today? Well, let me just tell you about my conversation with Charlie Sheen today. For those of you who were in the Billy Bush stream. So Billy Bush did a stream today at 1:00. And it was live. It was a 1:00 live stream Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific. And Charlie Sheen was on live with Billy Bush. And there was only like 300 people watching. And I'm watching and I'm like, I've got the opportunity to talk to Charlie Sheen right now. Are you effing kidding me? I couldn't believe it. So I'm watching the chat and he's live. And I'm like, I threw a super chat in there just to make sure that it was really live, but I knew it was really live because Billy wouldn't say it was live if it wasn't live. Go back and watch it later. And so I put in a super chat. I threw $10 in just because I figured if it's not really live, I don't want to, waste the $10 and not get to ask Charlie Sheen a question. Nobody was super chatting. Nobody was I did not see one super chat. You cheap bastards. You had the opportunity to ask Charlie Sheen any question you wanted to. Come on. And I said, no, he did. He's fully alive. He's been sober for like 8 years. His documentary was amazing. If you guys haven't watched it, I told you guys to watch it. Many of you did. And in fact, when you saw me in the chat, you said to me, thanks for telling me to watch the Charlie Sheen documentary because it was amazing. And so I said in my question, I said, Charlie, what would you tell a sober, curious person like Billy what did I say? What would you tell a sober, curious person like Billy about how your life has been better since sobriety or something like that? And so he did read the question to Charlie Sheen, and Charlie Sheen answered the question. And he said, you know what, Melanie? He said, I don't like to give advice unless the person who actually wants the advice raises their hand. He said, I don't like to give advice to people on behalf of other people. And it was such a great answer to the question. And then Billy, because listen, Billy talks about drinking all the time, talks about drinking all the time. And he's like, I think I should quit drinking. And I think I should this. And I'm like, you got Charlie Sheen sitting right next to you, man. I'm going to ask the question for you if you don't want to ask it. And then they talked about it for a little while and then they went on to something else. But I mean, for those of you who are not subbed up to Billy Bush, he's got some pretty amazing guests that come on with him live and you can ask them questions. Come on. It's amazing. And I feel like Billy talks about his drinking like he doesn't want to drink and that he wants to stop drinking. And so I just thought I'd put it out there. And then I wrote, love you, Billy, XOXO, because I didn't want him to think that I was thinking that he was a drunk, because I don't think that he's a drunk, but I do think that he is sober curious. Sober curious. And so I had the opportunity to speak to Charlie Sheen today. You could have too, if you were watching. So there was that. All right, moving on. He also says he's been celibate for like 8 years too. Charlie Sheen, not Billy. I have no idea about Billy, but all right, moving on to Kate Peter. Yes, Serene, I was thinking the same thing. She said, I think Billy is shadow banned. I think you're right, because there is no other excuse for why only 300 people would be watching Charlie Sheen live, which is also maybe because he's not really promoting it. You know, like when Aidan was on the other day, he didn't promote it as Aidan coming on or anything like that. And so we talked offline, Billy and I hope that I can help him and give him some tips on my YouTube journey, things that I've learned and stuff. So there's that. So your girl's going to come to the rescue of Billy. And Robin says, I love Charlie Sheen. I have tiger blood too. And Dave Matthews' neighbor has been sober for 14 years. And that's amazing. That is amazing. Congratulations. One day at a time, my friends, one day at a time. And I know there's a lot of sober people in my chat because we talk about it all the time. In fact, the stream that I did on Matthew Perry was totally demonetized. Didn't get taken down, but it was demonetized as unfriendly to advertisers. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm not here talking. I'm not promoting the K Queen, as they called her, Matthew Perry's dealer. I'm talking about the dangers of it. I don't know. Whatevs. All right, moving on. Catherine Peters' involvement as an informant in the investigation of Kearney's alleged crimes provides no substantial basis for reconsideration of this court's prior denial of the defendant's McCarthy-Odell motions. Well, motion. I don't know. I think some people might beg to differ, but let's move on. Kearney acknowledged in passing the existence of his prior motion to dismiss, but asserts that he filed it without access to undisclosed evidence, which he claims was important. The defense designates two such pieces of evidence. First, communications between Ms. Peter, Mr. Mello, and D.L. Tully, which was critical and if disclosed promptly would have been included in support of defense's first motion to dismiss. And second, the previously discussed presentation to the grand jury of excerpts from Kearney broadcasts that were labeled by Lieutenant Tully. The defense claims that it learned of this for the first time on September 4th, 2025. As fully demonstrated above, that contention is risible, R-I-S-I-B-L-E. I mean, this guy is pulling out all the words today. All the words. And it's risible. It is to provoke laughter. Risible. Use that in a sentence today, folks. That contention is risible. Using all the $2 words. It is true, however, that since the previous defense motion to dismiss, the defense has acquired communications among Special Prosecutor Mello, Tully, and Peter, and so has new evidence. Okay. That being undisputed, the remaining legal question for this court is whether the significance of that evidence is such that substantial justice should dictate an undoing of Judge Doolin's previous denial of the defense motion to dismiss. It should not. Really, Kazi? The fact that you just said it should not is risible in and of itself. In and of itself, it is risible. Am I right? Because if you don't think that group text messages between the special prosecutor, Detective Lieutenant Tully, who you are now calling an informant, Kate Peter, and Lindsay Gattani, is relevant to the setting up of Aidan Kearney, sir, you should just turn in your license right now. Any Wikipedia links that you've put in my comments do not show up. They're automatically banned in the back channel. So just so you know. There is a factual dispute that the court should resolve. The defendant paints Ms. Peters. Now he's calling her Ms. Peters. Oh, that's not going to make her happy. As a member of the prosecution team, indeed the dominant player to whom Special Prosecutor Mello outsourced investigative work. Footnote 3, which says, on the one hand, the defense is highly critical of the Commonwealth as ignorant or dismissive of Peter's woeful credibility. On the other, it never fails to adduce the slightest boast by Ms. Peter as to her own importance to the investigation as credible. Okay. Per Betterow, Mello was supposedly aware that she edited Mr. Kearney's content with her own editorial slant and bias and reviewed private links she sent him 2 days before the grand jury proceeding started. The implication of the latter assertions apparently is that Mello and Tully were spoon-fed, maliciously edited clips by Ms. Peter, which they then mindlessly regurgitated as grand jury exhibits. The clips weren't edited, but the titles were. Sue says Kate Peters sent Mello a subpoena and Mello got it quashed for her. It was in Lindsay's phone. I'm looking for more info on that. Thank you, because you know I like receipts, girl, and so do you. Ms. Peter was not part of the prosecution team. Oh, good. Now they're going to completely wash their hands of her. Ms. Peter was not part of the prosecution team, but a source of information among many sources. The primary source of information was the victims of Kearney's broadcasts, who complained about them to the Commonwealth. Although, to be sure, Peter may also have brought some of that information to Mello's or Tully's attention. In each instance, Tully went himself to the internet, viewed the alleged offending material, and copied it if appropriate, and if presenting it to the grand jury, named it in a way that accurately identified its contents, usually using Kearney's own words as contained in the excerpt. Do you believe that? The defendant's bold assertion that the Commonwealth employed Ms. Peter to clip, edit, and rename Mr. Kearney's episodes and then conceal the actual episodes and their accurate information from the grand jury's consideration is an outrageous and irresponsible untruth. Oh, is that like the most outrageous and irresponsible untruth in those papers? Is the untruth that the Commonwealth employed Kate Peter to edit, clip, and rename Mr. Kearney's episodes? Okay. Okay. In but 2 instances, the Commonwealth of necessity did use the exact videos provided by Ms. Peter, because those videos were no longer up on the internet, allegedly because they had been removed. Both were wiretapping claims. So 2 times they're admitting to using Kate Peters' videos. 2 times. One arose in connection with an alleged surreptitious recording of Lindsay Gattani, which the defendant played on an internet broadcast. The evidence was that the initial version was taken down and a second version substituted, into which Kearney edited from some other source an announcement that he was recording the conversation. Gattani's testimony corroborated that Kearney never told her the conversation was being recorded, i.e. the initial version, not the second, was genuine. The other, quote, Peter recording The other Peter recording was introduced during the grand jury presentation involving Mr. Scanlon. Okay. At trial, a defendant might well contest the authenticity of these or any recordings, but here, the Commonwealth had a good faith basis for believing them to be accurate based on the statements and testimony of the involved witnesses. Scanlon claimed that, okay, and here's Bettero's affidavit. So it looks like Scanlon claimed that Kearney told him he wouldn't record their conversation. That was the November 28, 2023 grand jury transcript. There was no impropriety in their introduction. Were the court to conclude otherwise, however, the proper remedy would be the dismissal of the resultant tainted indictments. That is unnecessary. The Gaetani indictment is not before this court. It was never part of the index number from 2023. And in any case, has been null prossed for unrelated reasons by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, right? It was dropped. Neither is a Scanlon indictment before this court, for as the defendant has complained repeatedly, the Commonwealth did not ask the grand jury to return one. As for the indictments actually before this court, to the extent she and Mr. Kearney share a mutual loathing, and they clearly do, and to the extent to which she may desire to see him hurt, humiliated, and imprisoned, and she apparently does, the question for the court and ultimately a jury, should a trial judge permit counsel to go down that particular road, is not the basis of any particular informant, but the reliability of the evidence. The Commonwealth's evidence before the grand jury consisted of videos indisputably made by Kearney documenting his own actions and the testimony of his victims as to their knowledge of those actions and the impact they had on their lives. It matters not a whit who informed the Commonwealth of any particular video's existence. What matters is the authenticity of the evidence. For all the relentless characterization of Tully's labeling of the video excerpts shown to the grand jury as improper, intentionally misrepresented, out of context, cherry-picked snippets, prejudicially named, falsely named, misnamed, sliced and diced, cherry-picked and out of context, and subterfuge that tricked the grand jury, nowhere does the defendant point to even a single word of Kearney's in any video clip that has been altered or modified by the Commonwealth. Nowhere does he point to a single instance where a word was omitted, altering a meaning, and nowhere does he represent that he did not create the videos of his own actions and words shown by the Commonwealth to the grand jury. He does not make those representations because he cannot. At the end of 30 pages of memorandum of law, 88 pages of meandering argument, mislabeled as an affidavit. Oh boy. Now he's calling Mark Bettero's writing meandering. Oh boy. This means war. Oops, what just happened was I rotated it. Hold on a second. Freaked me out. He's calling Mark Bettero's arguments meandering. 88 pages of meandering. Argument mislabeled as an affidavit. And a host of exhibits. The defendant's contentions amount to nothing more than sound and fury, signifying nothing. He's poking the Bettero, says Mass, he is poking the Bettero. You know it. I inverted it. I did it by mistake. Sound and fury signifying nothing. That is a famous quote that he does not even put in quotes. He's just adopting it as his own, apparently. I have to keep changing highlighter colors for fun. The Commonwealth has provided the defendant with extensive discovery in this case, whatever the problems or flaws in its production of discovery, and there have been some, oh, that's an admission, they fall far short of requiring the draconian sanction of dismissal of the case. The draconian sanction of dismissal of the case, really? Because you voluntarily, just withdrew the charges involving Lindsay Gaetani. You just tossed it out. Is it draconian because the witnesses, the alleged witnesses / victims in these indictments are got their finger on or their foot on the neck of the DA, maybe? Is that why it's draconian? It'd be draconian to dismiss the charges involving Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Colin Albert, Chris Albert, Julie Albert, Juliana Nagel, Elizabeth Proctor, and I don't know, there's got to be another one. Sarah Levinson, maybe? I don't even know at this point who they are. But is it draconian only because of the people involved? But you think it's okay that two of your alleged informants, one of whom is a witness, Lindsay Gattani, were communicating on a group text message with the special prosecutor and Detective Lieutenant Tully to conspire to indict Aidan Kearney on something just so you could incarcerate him, which you actually did for 60 days? Okay. All right. Tina's Window says, I'm going to have a party putting you on the big screen and selling tickets for Better Road's Response. Let's do it. Viewing party, everyone. Glamis Sue says, $50 if he says Sword of Damocles. You've already read this, haven't you? The Commonwealth promptly provided the defense with extensive discovery as borne out by the items set forth in the undersigned counsel's letter to Attorney Bradel of May 8th, 2024. Also notable for its expression of undersigned's belief, naive in retrospect, that discovery was then almost complete. At least he's admitting to his retrospective naivete. and Scott says, viewing party after the Owls finally beat the Bruins tonight. From your mouth to God's ears. Oh, he did use the word draconian. Oh, you hope that Bettero does. Karma drama set. Okay. And Makazi G says, man, I got to restore my image. Of course, that is not the real Makazi G. It's a satirical username. Get with the program. This court should also take note of discovery itemized in that letter, the subsequent discovery letter of June 13th of 2024. And indeed, the Commonwealth's filed and docketed responses to the defendant's previous discovery demands in measuring the veracity of the defense's claim that since Mr. Kearney's 2023 indictment, the Commonwealth has exhibited breathtaking indifference to its constitutional and statutory obligations to disclose evidence to the defense. Discovery has continued since that time, with the Commonwealth responding to defense requests and the defense in turn finding problems with the discovery provided, alleging missing discovery, sometimes correctly so. All right, there's an admission, another admission, that's two. Continuously generating new discovery requests and demanding further explanation of discovery already provided. Some of the Commonwealth's problems have been logistical, which are not the defendant's fault, but inform the realities of production. Yeah, because it's really, really, really so hard to produce evidence. So hard. Because it's hard. 4,000 blank pages. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Catherine. 4,000 blank pages. It's really hard. Oh, thank you. Green-eyed Southern girl. Yes. Her name is Peggy. She celebrated her 101st birthday, actually. She is the oldest Colorado Buffaloes fan. Let's put some buffs in the chat. And she turned 101. And the reason I know that is because Peggy's been around forever. She's a fixture. And also, last year, I was at the game when Peggy was there and they celebrated her 100th birthday. And the crowd sang happy birthday to Peggy. And there was not a dry eye in the house. Not a one. Not one. It was beautiful. Thank you, Green-eyed Southern girl. And Sco Buffs, maybe we could win the last two games. I don't know. I'm just saying. The realities of production. Yeah, evidence production is really, 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 really hard. By way of background, the investigation into Kearney began about May or June of 2023. Oh boy. He only started reporting on the Karen Reed case in April. And within a month, apparently they were already investigating him. Thanks for telling us. Thanks for telling us. Within 30 days, I think it was mid-April when he wrote his first article, right? Mid-April 2023. He's telling us the investigation into Kearney began about May or June of 2023. Yeah. Can't you just do something about him? Can you make him stop blogging about me? The witnesses, some of them maybe, had a fast pass to Marcy. They had his cell number. They were in direct contact with him. April 18th, 2023 was his first article, and Glamis News was awake and reading it. But here they are. They're telling you that within 30 days, May or June of 2023, that is exactly when they started investigating Aidan Kearney because they were threatened. He was going to expose everything. They made quick work about taking Aidan down, says Catherine. And Diane Gallagher says, it's only difficult when you're manufacturing the evidence and intentional detours. Attorney Mello, a resident of Bristol County, was engaged as special prosecutor on or about September of 2023. Bristol County is down by Fall River, right? 6 months later, in March of 2024, the Norfolk District Attorney recruited the undersigned to assist Mr. Mello with some legal research, writing, and similar tasks. He was recruited like in college football. Put me in, coach. Cosgrove was recruited by Michael Marcy specifically. Within 6 months, Mello, however, proved to be gravely ill and has been physically unable to appear in court, requiring the undersigned effectively to assume full responsibility for the case. In point of fact, the undersigned has never been able to meet with Mr. Mello in person since undersigned's counsel's entry of an appearance in any case against Mr. Kearney. While counsel has largely been able to obtain discovery materials directly from the Norfolk DA's office, some of the necessary materials have been in Mr. Mello's possession, and his ongoing health problems and intermittent hospitalizations have retarded the process of acquiring them. I don't know, you might have picked a better word than retarded. I mean, you've got a thesaurus right in front of you. You couldn't have picked a better word than the R word that your free volunteer informant loves to call people, and that Proctor used about Karen Reed when he said, I'm looking through his retarded client's phone. All right, so now you use the same language as Proctor. You're all in the same bucket. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza. Dear Liza. To return to the previously mentioned May 8th, 2024 discovery letter, the court will note that in addition to the discovery produced by undersigned counsel, it references discovery previously provided by Detective Lieutenant Tully. Given Mello's illness, then hoped to be transitory, Tully was employed in the prosecutor's normal role of providing discovery. Another difficulty with discovery, oh, here come the excuses. Pull out the reason card. Another difficulty with discovery in this case has been the ongoing nature of the defendant's conduct toward the alleged victims and witnesses. Okay, let's see what he has to say about that. To reiterate just a few previously brought to the attention of this court or others, there was his online hope that Lieutenant Tully would die horribly along with his wife and children, charmingly coupled with Kearney's self-comparison with Jesus. Saint A. Timothy Kearney, now comparing himself with Jesus, his nose to the window antics and accusations in the form of questions at the Albert's Pizza Shop, captured by their security cameras, his recent drive-by outside the Cape Cod home of a witness in the Karen Reed case, Brian Higgins, his discourse as to whether or not an officer's wife was blue because Kearney speculated she gave her husband O-type sexy time, and his repeated libels of Jennifer McCabe as a murderer. These and a host of other antics, some relatively minor, some offensive, but clearly legally protected speech. Oh, are you admitting that now? Prompt the victims to contact the local DA's, to contact the district attorney's office, often by email, questioning whether action can be taken. So turn over the emails. Whether the conduct is a bail violation, etc. Oh, so, you're self-snitching. You're self-snitching. The witnesses like Jennifer McCabe, Chris Albert are writing emails asking if these are bail violations so that you can incarcerate him again. Show us the emails. Right. Cray Space says, oh, now you admit that wasn't a reason to revoke bail? No, I think what he's saying is that he got emails from the district attorney's office got emails from these witnesses asking if all these things that Aidan Kearney apparently continued to do, in their opinion, would constitute bail violation. Can we put him in jail? Can we get him back in jail? Can't you do something? Can't we just arrest him already? Arguably, these constitute discoverable statements. Arguably, there's nothing arguable about that. They're absolutely discoverable. Although they say nothing whatsoever about the crimes with which the defendant is charged. It doesn't matter. Communications with the witnesses are discoverable. They're statements. To the extent they provide information on subsequent bad acts, the Commonwealth would be obligated to disclose such bad acts in any case before attempting to admit them at trial. If the statements are otherwise arguably discoverable, it is because they show a bias against Mr. Kearney that could conceivably be used to impeach him, but the reasons for any victim's bias are obvious from the very facts alleged supporting Kearney's charges. In that sense, discovery of the statements is entirely cumulative. No. And also, when they're corresponding via email with Michael Morrissey's private email and not his work email, they become discoverable there too. That way, that's another way in which they did become discoverable. Or, like Tully's email account or Proctor's email account, they all become discoverable. Okay. This court should consider limiting discovery going forward to exclude victims' statements that make no factual references to the underlying charged offenses or to prior acts or subsequent bad acts that the Commonwealth seeks to introduce at trial. Otherwise, there will be no end to it. Oh, I'm sorry. What? Are you saying that these witnesses have contacted the DA's office so many times and that they continue to do so, that there would be no end to it? There would be no end to it if you were to keep providing Rule 14 discovery. There would be no end to it. Wow. Thanks for self-snitching. We're actually snitching on all the witnesses. I mean, wow. That's a lot, right? Hold on a second. Hold, please. Moving on. As it did with its attacked, that's the weakest argument I ever heard, says be in trouble, right? Because, it would be unduly burdensome for us to keep providing emails that these witnesses keep sending us all the time, asking us to do something and just arrest him already and get him back in jail, or I'm not testifying at trial number 2. How about that? Right? I mean, that's wild. Otherwise, there would be no end to it. That deserves its own color. So just hold on a second. Okay. As it did with its attack on the grand jury presentation, the defense focuses much of its criticism on the Commonwealth's provision of discovery concerning Catherine Peter, which it claims support its preposterous theory that she, Lindsay Gattani, Mr. Mello, Detective Lieutenant Tully, and possibly others diabolically plotted to have Mr. Kearney's bail revoked by luring him into intimidating Ms. Gattani after they made her what Mr. Betterow describes as a witness, taking care to put the term in scare quotes. Man, you have scare quoted so many things in this memo in opposition that it's scary. And I don't know. It's kind of exactly what they did. And yes, there's a voice clip. Thank you, Chloe Jones. There's a voice clip from Leah Genduso, or Leah Bathtub Genduso. I don't know why she's called that, by Lindsay Gattani, but there is a voice memo in which that is exactly what they did. There is literal proof. It is in writing. And if you know, you know. Discovery provided by the Commonwealth shows that Kearney was indeed a witness interviewed by the police with specific attention to what she knew about Kearney's ongoing communications with Karen Reed. After that interview, she received a summons to testify before the grand jury. Like so many other issues, the defendant has raised this one with this court before. The Commonwealth picks up the story by quoting a previous response. Well, you shouldn't do that because, first of all, it's lazy. And second of all, things have changed since then. Things have changed since then. Hello. Oh, sometimes we need Cardi B. Hold on. Because this will never not be funny to me. So just hold on for a minute while I find it for you. Sometimes we just need Cardi B.
Hello.
Hello.
We have an emoji for that. That's right. 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 She dreamed she was a ninja. That's right. And here he goes, quoting his previous response. Man, my voice is getting tired. I got to take a drink. Hold on. In abbreviated form, the Commonwealth summarizes the evidence, largely drawing on Ms. Kearney's testimony before the grand jury, supplemented by police reports and other evidentiary materials, all of which have been provided in discovery to the defense. Well, no, not all the evidentiary materials have been provided to the defense. Because, all of these text messages and whatever. Oh, Dave Matthews' neighbor says, are you also sober thinking, Melanie? I don't drink. I don't drink anymore. And the reason I don't drink anymore is not because I had a problem with drinking. It is just because I have suddenly become allergic to it. I mean, it's true. I don't know if it has to do with, menopause or whatever. But people say your hormones change the way you react to alcohol. And so if I even have one beer, and I like hard cider better than beer, one hard cider, one glass of wine, one martini, one vodka, I will use an entire box of tissues that night before I go to bed because I get so congested. And so I have just decided at this point in my life that it is not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't need to feel like crap in the morning. And I don't need to be using a box of tissues. It's just really, I don't know where it came from. I've heard that suddenly later in life, you can all of a sudden develop these allergies. And so I just don't do it. And I have a fun time without it. It's not like a lot of people don't want to stop drinking because they're like, I just won't be fun. I want to have fun. I won't be fun. And what I find wild is that people that I'm with, not everyone, certain people, because a lot of my friends don't really drink either, are like, have a drink, have a drink, have a drink, have a drink. And I'm like, why? Why do you care if I have a drink or not? Like, are you going to feel bad about drinking if I don't have a drink? Or can you not have fun unless I'm drinking? Because I know how to have fun without drinking. It's wild to me. Right? So there's that. It's part Irish, part menopause. It could be. It could be. And so I just decided it doesn't serve me. So why do it? I don't know. Whatevs. All right, moving on. Ms. Kearney met the defendant in September of 2023 after viewing his blogs and YouTube shows dealing with the Karen Reed case and ordering a t-shirt from his website. The relationship became intimate. By the beginning of December, the relationship had soured. Kearney came to the attention of Special Prosecutor Mello, who brought Kearney to his attention, who dispatched Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully and a specially assigned private investigator, Nelson D. Govea, to interview her. As a result of that interview, the detectives returned to Kearney's home on December 22nd, 2023. Upon receiving the summons, Kearney feared that Kearney would think she had sought out the detectives and was trying to get him in some sort of trouble. She was afraid he would retaliate in some way. She called Kearney and sent him a picture of the summons. Hours of phone conversations and text communications ensued. Kearney became upset and accused Kearney of setting him up by passing along information to Kate Peters, a woman who he believed was averse to his interests and had provided the information to the police. Well, that turned out to be true, right? The following day, December 23rd, acting against what he had told Kearney was his lawyer's advice, Kearney announced that he wanted to come by Kearney's apartment to discuss the summons. Gattani agreed. They first met at a business conference room in her apartment building. Upon arriving, Kearney demanded, I'm reading it like a soap opera because it sounds like a soap opera. Upon arriving, Kearney demanded that Gattani give him her phone. He said he wanted to read any messages between her and Peters. Again, Peters. Dude, I mean, get your volunteer informant's name straight, would you? As well as any messages with Detective Lieutenant Tully and Special Prosecutor Mello. Gattani refused. The defendant then threatened that his lawyer was going to have to destroy her on the stand, tear apart every piece of her life, embarrass her, bring up everything from her past. Stalling for time, Gattani went into the bathroom and telephoned Special Prosecutor Mello and spoke to him briefly. Why did she have his number? If it wasn't a setup. Mello called Lieutenant Tully, told him Gattani said that the defendant was in her apartment and forwarded her call. Forwarded her call? What, was it on party line now? Tully could not understand anything she said as the voices were muffled, inferably because Gattani did not want the defendant to overhear. After several minutes, the call ended, and at 10:48 p.m., Gattani sent Lieutenant Tully the following text message. Why is she texting with Tully? Yeah, Microdots did an amazing video on this. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend go watch it. Everything Richie does is genius. Here's the text message. Ken said to call you, but I can't. Okay, she's calling Special Prosecutor Mello. Ken. He's just Ken. Name that movie. He's just Ken. He's just Ken. We got to put it on the playlist. Ken said to call you, but I can't. He's knocking on the bathroom door. Knock, knock, knocking on the bathroom door. I have to go back out. Please don't text or call and tell Ken not to because he wants to see my phones. Yep, it's Barbie. My girls know it's Barbie. Jen knows it. Jessica knows it. Helena knows it. Even Mitchell knows it. And Tiff knows it too. I'm deleting our calls and texts right now. Don't respond to him until you hear from me, please. Gattani emerged from the bathroom and unsuccessfully attempted to stall, showing the defendant her phone. Terrified by the defendant's threats, Gattani acquiesced and the two proceeded to her apartment. In the course of the conversation, the defendant instructed Gattani to delete from her phone messages between the two of them. He said that I would, quote, he said that I would not get in trouble if wanted to throw my phone in a river or delete any messages because with this summons, there was no order for preservation of evidence. So he said I could not get in trouble for removing any incriminating information from my phone about him. He said that he confirmed this with his attorney, Tim Bradle, end quote. For the next several hours, the defendant went through Ms. Gattani's phone, reading through exchanges between Gattani and Kate Peters again, and taking notes. At the conclusion of this process, the defendant announced that he was very proud of her and was going to protect her. The reconciliation, such as it was, did not last long. Plot twist, Cosgrove. Plot twist. Lindsay Gattani has turned on Kate Peter and everyone, and she's got receipts on everything. Does he address that anywhere in here? Later, while the defendant's attention was elsewhere, Gattani ripped the page of notes that he had taken from his notebook, crumpled them, and shoved them down her shirt, and subsequently hid them under her mattress. Footnote omitted. The defendant became aware that his notes were missing and demanded them back, accusing her of stealing his property. Eventually, he announced he was leaving, and after some delay, did so. He's leaving a lot of that story out, and if you don't know the story, I'm not going to repeat it here, but go back and watch Microdot's video on this. If somebody wants to put the title of Microdot's video in the chat, I would allow it. Gattani recounted these events the next day by telephone to Lieutenant Tully, who told her to call the Medfield police to report the incident. Tully perceived her to be hesitant. He called the Medfield police, reported what Gattani had said, and asked them to follow up. Right, because it was a nudge, it was a bump, it was tickling the wire. They did exactly what they knew they needed to do, in my opinion, to get Aidan Kearney to react by serving Lindsay with this grand jury subpoena to put him back in jail. It was a bump. You know that term from the Donna Adelson trial. Sometimes they call it a nudge. It's when you know the person's triggers and you know what's going to trigger them. And so you do something to nudge him into doing the exact thing that you want him to do so that you can put him back in jail on some trumped up charges, right? Right. It was a bump that led to a setup. I mean, both. I mean, it could be both though, right? I mean, because the setup wouldn't have been complete unless the bump worked, right? And if the bump didn't work, they would have found another way to set him up. But the text messages beforehand absolutely indicate that they were attempting to set him up. Okay. Right. The defendant has complained repeatedly that the phone texts of that evening between Gittani and Tully were not included in the subsequent copy of the download of her phone provided them by the Commonwealth. Undersigned counsel explained why that was the case in his letter to Bradel of May 8th, 2024, telling him in pertinent part, if there's data missing, that is because it was missing when the phone came into the Commonwealth's possession, custody, and control, and thus we do not have it. The Commonwealth later secured the missing texts with Tully by means of copying them from his cell phone and handed them to counsel in open court during a hearing. Right. That's because Tully or someone deleted all those messages from Lindsay's phone before they extracted it. And then, possibly illegally, released an entire extraction of her phone going back something like, I don't know, 15 years maybe? I can't know every detail in these cases, you guys. I can't know every detail. So in sum, the defendant wishes to tell a jury that the Commonwealth engaged in a plot with Kate Peter and Gittani to, quote, make her a witness, then lure him to her apartment, provoke him to criminal conduct, then arrest him so his bail could be revoked. Exactly. Exactly. You're getting it. It's clicking for you now? So cunning were the alleged plotters that Ms. Gittani studiously avoided any mention of their plot and its apparent progress when texting Tully, nothing like, it worked, or he's here now, arrest him. Is that what you wish she would have done? So hilarious. Oddly, neither Tully nor any other officer was outside Gittani's apartment waiting to burst in and arrest Kearney at the appropriate moment and not incidentally protect Gittani from any harm. No, but they were on the phone with her. Didn't he just say he forwarded her call to Tully like when Aidan was there? Am I missing something? Equally oddly, Gittani never reported the incident to the local police the following day, a lapse that prompted her alleged co-conspirator Tully to make the call. Right, because Tully and Mello and Kate Peter and Michael Morrissey and all of the House defendants really, really, really wanted Aidan in jail, sir, counselor. But no 4. A copy of Lieutenant Tully's recorded call was provided to the defense in discovery. Mrs. Jim Marson is here. People are strange when you're a stranger. And she says, Turtleboy should say, sorry, my episodes override every 30 days. Well done, girl. Well done. And Grace Bay says, yeah, it's weird that Tully made the call. Okay, here we go. Truly, this defense theory is Lincoln-esque with a capital L. At least in the sense that Lincoln has been quoted, likely falsely, as saying, you can fool all of the people, okay, wait, stop. You can fool all of the people some of the time and some of the people all of the time. Yeah, next Friday is not happening, so don't get too excited, Darlene. We've just been told that it's going to be a Zoom hearing. They're not going to be arguing the motion to dismiss on December 5th, so take it off your calendar. It's going to be Zoom only. So yes, obviously the defendant is correct that the Commonwealth thinks little of his theory. It's not, I don't care what you think about it. What's a jury going to think about it? And what should a judge think about it? Because it seems pretty obvious to everybody. And Makazi G is in the chat saying, I graduated with Lincoln. Good guy. Sleepless Sleuth is like, I feel like it's April Fool's Day with this. Don't we all? Groundhog Day. But indulging the defense's contention that the Peter discovery, as we call it now, the Peter discovery, when you discover something about your Peter that you didn't. All right, that was a softball. But indulging the defense's contention that the Peter discovery was required irrespective of the Commonwealth's subjective belief in the reliability of the evidence, and further assuming arguendo that its conspiracy theory would be an admissible defense against the now dismissed Gattani indictments. How probative is it of the indictments before this court where Gattani is not a victim? The video evidence against the defendant was the product of his own hand. You can't put Peter discovery and his own hand in the same paragraph, because now you're just throwing softballs all over the place. Kate Peter did not organize, participate in, or induce the defendant to organize, participate in, film, and broadcast the rolling rallies in which the defendant led a caravan of cars to the doorsteps of witnesses, harangued them, and intimidated them using a bullhorn. Well, they knew they were coming because Michael Proctor wrote an email about it to Tully and others, and wasn't even home at the time. And that's why the charges against that had to do with Proctor were dismissed. Neither did Kate Peter compel the defendant to dox and defame witnesses and their family members. Power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. And all I can think of is Linda Blair in a nightgown on a bed with her head spinning all the way around, puking all over the walls. The defendant did that all on his own. And to what extent has the defendant been prejudiced by any delay in disclosure of the Peter discovery, as he repeatedly asserts? If prejudice at all, he has not shown it. Come on, dude. Really? Are you serious right now? No big whoop. He's still going to get a trial, because you're arguing that he didn't have any right to make this motion again, right? So how has he been prejudiced? Well, because he didn't have it when he made his motion the first time. You just answered your own rhetorical question, sir. We are never surprised, but it always brings us so many laughs, doesn't it? Michael says, I didn't have pea soup on my bingo card today. Robin's grabbing her holy water. The defendant also has a related complaint concerning discovery concerning Ms. Peters, again, plural. The Commonwealth's alleged failure to preserve exculpatory evidence. The Commonwealth provided in discovery various emails sent by Ms. Peter, some to Mr. Mello, some to Lieutenant Tully. Certain of those emails contained links, usually, judging by a label or context, to various online broadcasts by the defendant. Scott puts up $50 and says $50, says Ebenezer is in the chat. I think so. But it's all in good fun. Tully's general practice. Okay, his general practice. So now we're going to learn a little bit about Tully's general practice. By no means exclusive to him, was not to access links in unsolicited emails sent from parties outside the NDA's office or criminal justice network. Mello, on the evidence of one response to a Peter email suggesting he was unable to access the content, apparently did so, at least on some occasions. Don't do it. Don't do it. These emails remain, but not all of them have links that are active. They have not been successfully accessed by undersigned counsel, and Tully and defense counsel also report that those links are dead. Yeah, because somebody deleted them. Why they are dead is wholly speculative. Is it, though? Is it? I bet Lindsay knows. Possibly the path expired of its own nature or was removed by the sender. None of the emails at issue contained any warning to the recipient that the links were time limited. The factual scenario raises some novel legal questions. For example, what duty does an agent of the Commonwealth have to access an unsolicited link, conceivably exposing computer networks to malware. If the link, which is essentially an electronic path to another document, is not accessed, was the unaccessed document ever in the Commonwealth's actual possession? As expressed in defendant's memo at 28, if the link is accessed, absent some notice that the access may become unavailable in the future, does the Commonwealth have an obligation to attempt to preserve the contents of the link in some other form as a precaution? Does that obligation, if it exists at all, vary depending on the contents of the link? All of these questions and more on the next episode of Deep Thoughts by Bobby Kazi G. Back to the document. For example, if someone sends an unsolicited email saying that a defendant looks a lot like Humphrey Bogart and attaches a link to Casablanca, is it sufficient simply to save the email, or must the Commonwealth download and preserve a copy of Casablanca? That's really a bad analogy. You were doing so great with your vocab. You were doing so great, Makazi G. And now you're just being silly. Does the content of Casablanca back to one, does the content of Casablanca constitute part of the statement of the witness? Or is this statement simply her own words, or her own words and the fact of her attaching Casablanca, irrespective of the film's actual content? Where the link goes dead without any action by the Commonwealth, has the Commonwealth lost evidence or destroyed it? Finally, if someone forwards another email or a newspaper article without adding any context, or alternatively adding neutral content, such as FYI, does the mere act of forwarding it constitute a discoverable statement? If the defense has pondered these issues, it gives the court no hint, proceeding immediately to the assumption that much of the undisclosed and now destroyed evidence was favorable Giglio material because it undermined Ms. Peters' credibility, demonstrated her bias against Mr. Kearney, and supported the defense's theory of a shoddy bad faith investigation. And I submit to you, in my own words, he doth protest too much. Humphrey Bogart was not on my bingo card either, Mitchell. Given the difficult nature of the novel legal questions raised above, are they novel really? Shouldn't you just preserve all evidence? I don't know, just spitballing here. The most useful line of analysis may be to assume arguendo that the Commonwealth had a duty to access the links, had a duty to access the links and to take some measure beyond preserving the emails that contained them as a prophylactic. Are you going to throw prophylactic in there too? Against their possibly becoming dead links. The court can then proceed to more familiar questions, i.e. was the evidence once available at the links favorable to the defense? If so, how damaging was it? How damaging was its loss? And in light of the damage and the Commonwealth's culpability, what should be the remedy? Under Brady, even if the court is satisfied that the Commonwealth lost or destroyed evidence, the defendant is not entitled to relief unless and until he first establishes to this court's satisfaction a reasonable possibility based on concrete evidence rather than a fertile imagination. Prophylactic followed by fertile. He's totally trolling us. You know he's totally trolling us. I'm convinced. That access to the evidence would have produced evidence favorable to his cause. Here, the defense asserts that the misleading evidence was favorable because it allegedly demonstrated bias by Ms. Peter and supported the defense's theory that the shoddy bad faith investigation relied upon a civilian who despised Mr. Kearney. Dave Matthews' neighbor says, "Did you say prophylactic? Bingo!" Because the investigation relied upon a civilian who despised Mr. Kearney and had a documented history of falsifying evidence against him. Well, yeah, that is 100% true. But then he says, but none of that is true. Given, as the defense says, Peter's cooperation with the Commonwealth and her dislike of Kearney, hardly seems probable that she sent links to evidence she thought, oh my goodness, here's another big word. Are you ready? This was definitely not on anyone's bingo card. It hardly seems probable that she sent links to evidence she thought exculpatory. Exculpatory. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to go out on a limb. And I don't know. I'm just going to say that that's a typo or a scrivener's error. And it's it should just say she thought exculpatory, but he threw the F in there because he knows that we're going to look up all of these words, because I don't think exculpatory is a word. If you find out that it's a word, look it up in your Scrabble dictionary. Remember the Scrabble dictionary? The reasonable and probable inference is that she sent links to Kearney's own broadcast, which she thought to be inculpatory and pertinent to existing or possible charges against him. Well, there's nothing reasonable or probable about Kate Peter. I think we can all agree on that. What a waste of a brilliant mind, says Becky. He says, I don't know if this is tongue in cheek. The reasonable and probable inference is that she sent links to Kearney's own broadcast, which she thought to be inculpatory and pertinent to existing or possible charges against him. Thus, the defendant wisely makes no argument that the content of the missing links is exculpatory, but fiercely asserts that they demonstrate her bias against Kearney. The inference must then be that bias is demonstrated either by the content of the messages containing the links, but note that the defendant quotes none, or the mere fact that Peter was providing evidence to the Commonwealth, even if that evidence were probative of guilt. But there's nothing damning in any citizens assisting a police investigation by providing information. Right. Just like there's nothing damning in any defendants assisting a journalist on reporting on her case. Rather, Ms. Peters' lack of credibility, if such there is only demonstrated by the defense's parade of her prior antagonistic statements against Mr. Kearney and what it terms her documented history of falsifying evidence against him. None of this comes from the lost dead link evidence. Well, we don't know, because we don't know what was in the lost dead link evidence, right? Oh, that's funny. Lisa says, hi, Melanie. Love you. I love you back. They say we, Turtleboy riders, aren't observant, yet they have Karen Reed, Natalie attending Bentley for 24 years from 1998 to 2022. That's just how I didn't pick that up. I'll never know, but well done to you guys. Oh, yes, it's been confirmed. Exculpatory is not a word. If, unlike here, a defendant meets his threshold burden as set forth in Neal, the court then applies the balancing test to determine the appropriateness and extent of remedial action. The court must weigh the culpability of the Commonwealth, the materiality of the evidence, and the potential prejudice to the defendant. That test does not require the Commonwealth to prove good faith or earnest efforts to preserve the evidence. Deny, sit down. However, this court need not proceed to that test, for no consideration of government culpability or materiality need occur unless the exculpatory nature of the evidence is shown. Should the court disagree, considered in the light least favorable to the Commonwealth, the analysis is as follows. Oh, he's now going to do the analysis for us. Oh, well done to you. Culpability of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth delayed unduly in providing requested discovery of certain emails to the defendant. At some point, links in some of those emails went dead, whether during the period of undue delay or earlier is unknown. The Commonwealth has not been shown to have been aware of the likelihood of the links going dead, but it has been shown not to have engaged in any affirmative measures to counter such possibility. At most, negligence, but no bad faith. Next, materiality of the evidence. None shown, though relevance to impeachment of Kate Peter is claimed. Prejudice to the defendant. Little or none. The Bettero affidavit and defendant's memorandum overflow with purported examples of impeachment evidence the defense already has to introduce against Kate Peter. Should the trial judge allow such evidence against a witness, the Commonwealth has no need to call to prove its case under the pending counts of this indictment. Well, there you go. The Commonwealth has just put a little Easter egg in this response, and they have told us that they do not intend to call Kate Peter in this case. They just don't intend to call her. Why? Because her credibility is little or none. To use Kazi's words against him, her credibility is little or none, and therefore, he's saying they have no need to call her. And you're still conflicted out of this, right, Mandy? At best, the missing evidence is entirely cumulative. Okay, go on with your bad self. I mean, listen, I understand that he wanted to get the hours in, triple dipping and all. And how much is he charging an hour? I forget. I forget if it's 400, 450, but then he put a cap on his hours and he's like, even though I work like 7 million hours this month, I'm only going to charge you this amount because that's what we agreed on. Even though he's completely 100% in any attorney's mind, any attorney with integrity who actually practices law, totally conflicted out of this case. He wanted to get one last bill in there. One last bill in there for the month of November. I don't know what his last bill was. He wanted to get one last bill in there. He put how many hours he put into this? I have no idea. We'll find out because I'm sure Corey Hopkins or somebody else will make a FOIA request for it. In supporting the opposite view, the defendant relies on Commonwealth v. Woodward, which undercuts rather than assists his cause. There, the Commonwealth failed to preserve from an autopsy a missing piece of an infant's dura that was subject to a preservation order. That's horrible. The Supreme Judicial Court upheld the trial judge in holding that the loss of that evidence, surely more explicitly defined and potentially helpful to the defense than that at issue here, did not justify dismissal of the indictment. The Woodward opinion then cited Commonwealth v. Cinelli for the proposition that absent egregious misconduct or at least a serious threat of prejudice, the remedy of dismissal infringes too severely on the public interest in bringing guilty persons to justice. If and only if the defendant has satisfied his threshold burden and the court then proceeds to consider a remedy based on the above analysis, the Commonwealth respectfully suggests that no remedy is required. But again, should the court disagree, surely any remedy should fall short of surely any remedy should fall far short of dismissal. Let's not leave out the far. Far, 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 far. Next heading. How much longer is this god-awful thing? All right. Only one more page and a half. The defendant's motion to disqualify attorney Mello need not be addressed as the issue is moot. Kearney indicated that one request is his never actually filed motion. What? Was the disqualification of Special Prosecutor Kenneth Mello. It was never actually filed. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Willis? The defendant's memorandum of law, however, while commenting frequently on Mr. Mello's alleged failings, never addresses this request. There is a point 1 arguing impairment of the grand jury process and a point 2 arguing failure to properly disclose exculpatory evidence, but no point 3. Perhaps twixt. Oh, here's another one. Here's another word, twixt. TWIXT. Twixt the affidavit and the memo, the defense decided to abandon the argument, in which case the court need not rule on it. He doesn't address his own conflict. No, why would he? Why would he? However, the issue is moot anyway. The copy of Judge Doolin's memorandum of decision on the defendant's prior motion to disqualify Special Assistant District Attorney Mello, as forwarded to this office by the clerk, bears the docket number of both the 2024 case and the 2023 case. Docket footnote number 5. In explaining his decision, Judge Doolin stated that ADA Mello, in receiving communications from a witness while the alleged crimes were being committed, made himself a potential witness in Kearney's case. That's right. Same messages you were just telling us about between Gittani and Mello. Apparently, The judge's explanation was insufficiently damning for the defense, which seized the opportunity to recast it for this court as follows. Quote, Mr. Mello's involvement in this scheme, i.e. the alleged plot to frame Kearney for witness intimidation and have his bail revoked, was so great that it resulted in the court disqualifying him from the prosecution of the 2024 indictments, in which Ms. Gattani is the alleged victim. One may look long and hard at Judge Doolin's decision without seeing a statement even remotely suggesting what the defense avers under penalty of perjury. The Commonwealth has not sought to appeal Judge Doolin's decision. During the early months of Mr. Mello's disability due to illness, the district attorney, Mr. Mello, and undersigned counsel hoped that he would soon recover sufficient health to play an active role in court proceedings. Well over a year has passed, and that hope has not been vindicated. The unvindicated hope of Bobby Causey. Moreover, there is no likelihood that Mr. Mello will be capable of appearing in court in the coming year, either as an advocate or in any other capacity. Bowing to these harsh realities. Oh, bow down, will you? The Norfolk District Attorney and Mr. Mello have not entered into a renewal of his expired contract. I would suggest to you that the Norfolk District Attorney, Michael Marcy, does not bow down to anybody, except maybe the Commonwealth with the House defendants. Maybe that might be who he's bowing to, the House defendants. Okay? Wow. Conclusion. For the reasons set forth by the Commonwealth, the defendant's motion to dismiss, as apparently incorporated in the Betterow affidavit, should be denied, with the exception of the defendant's prayer to disqualify Attorney Mello, which the court should take no action on, as the issue is moot. Respectfully submitted, XOXO. Robert C. Cosgrove, Special Assistant District Attorney. Dated just yesterday, November 24th of 2025. And he emailed both attorneys with it. I don't know, after close of business yesterday, perhaps. 25 pages of fill in the blank. Wrong answers only. Very special. Very special. I mean, it was special to me. Was it special to you? Tracy Steedman gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Tracy, so very much. Thank you for also becoming a member, Tracy. So generous. Everyone's so generous. I am so thankful for each and every one of you. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Betty St. Croix. Thanks for being with me for 17 months. West Virginia Country says, just wow, this should embarrass a 1L, right? I hope he doesn't get a judge pass for filing a another word of the day. Another word of the day for Kazi G. A polemic. A word of the day for cause to learn in court. Polemic is contentious rhetoric intended to support a specific position by forthright claims and to undermine the opposing positions. Polemic. Thanks for your super chat and for another word of the day. And are you a 1L? Congratulations for being, I don't know, almost halfway through your first year of law school. Thank you, Glama. Suze, I said this earlier, $50 if he says sword of Damocles. And EKG says, I think whoever wrote this was trying to be Bob Alessi, but they failed because there's only one Bob Alessi. Thanks for your 5. Allison says, who knew Cosgrove was a senior writer on Dawson's Creek? That is well done. That's well done. Jerry says, from Canada, the pen is mightier than the sword. It's clear Cosgrove is out of ink. Bradle, Betterow, and Turtleboy make the truth easy to understand. What is the judge going to say on Friday? Damn wow. Well, nothing's going to happen on Friday. It's been converted to a Zoom conference. And Betterow is probably chomping at the bit if he's not cooking his Thanksgiving dinner tonight or prepping his Thanksgiving dinner. He's furiously typing his reply to this. Thanks, Jerry. For your 5. Or your 10, I'm not sure. Big Dog became a member. Welcome. Sue says, The Exorcist is one of my favorite movies. If a guy can't handle the movie, he's not for me. I'm so dark. Stop laughing at me. Thank you. Yeah, somebody said, Sunny Drop says, I missed the response. I listened to the entire thing, yet there was no actual response. Right. A lot of word salad in there. Worth noting, Kate Peter claimed she titled the clips. Yes, didn't she, Edward Kirkpatrick? I thought so too, but then I thought I was being gaslit. Thanks on top for your super sticker. And Sue's for another 5 says, best headline of all time. Fertile woman dies in climax. Both are towns in northern Minnesota, and it did happen. Thank you. Lola says, I'm sorry, but this was not written by Cosgrove. More like Kate Peter, and she's known for adding 50-cent words. She wants to sound smart. Grace Bay says, I'm about to embark on a 4-hour drive, so thanks in advance for the company and entertainment. This is the perfect early birthday present. Happy early birthday to you. Grace Base. Big Dog says, this is what the Massachusetts taxpayer pays for. That's right. Love from Tejas says, happy T-Day, Mel. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Question, even though St. Turtleboy's next hearing is on Zoom, since the judge has said it will be in court, can't Boots still show up? No, because I don't think that the court is going to be, the court could be in chambers. And so I can't answer that question. I honestly don't know the answer. I would, but Texas and stuff love you. I honestly don't know the answer to that question, but I'm sure if some of the boots on the ground are in the chat, they will let you know. But my gut tells me no, because I don't know that the judge might not be on the bench necessarily. Jerry says, if Mello's on deathbed, could he be deposed? Well, they want him to come in and testify at an evidentiary hearing. They've said that several times. And so I don't know what his medical condition is, but I wish him all the good healing vibes. Thank you, Jerry from Canada. Angela says, AI, please write this in the style of Baba Lessie. Well done, Angela. David Reese says, he didn't even address the motion to have him disqualified. Nope, he didn't. He sure didn't. Let's go to the Mass Court's website for a moment, shall we? We shall. Why? Because I say so. Ipsy Dixit. Hold, please, while I look something up. So, what there is here. Well, it's giving me the circle of death here, the buffering circle of death. Thank you, Claire, for your Venmo. Says, thank you, great Charlie Sheen question, and looking forward to hearing how their hangout sesh goes. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Tammy says, thank you for making it make sense. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Tammy. I appreciate you so much. Jadzia, thanks for buying me 3 matcha lattes. Says, thanks so much for the snark. It's the only thing making Kazi G's word salad even remotely palatable. Thank you so much, Jadzia. And let me see. Betsy says, I'm dying at your robot in the corner. Thanks, Betsy, for another Venmo. I love you. Love you all. Hold on. All right, spinny circle of death. Thank you for putting something up. All right, so it looks like, according to the docket in Aidan's case, Belizos actually endorsed the motion to allow the late filing today at some point on the 26th. So that has been done. He got special permission after the fact to file late. The judge has allowed it, Judge Belizos. In addition to that procedural order, which we talked about earlier with regard to turning that in-person hearing into a Zoom hearing for next Friday, the 5th. And scrolling through the docket, there sits out there the defendant's motion to impound copies of the motion to disqualify prosecutors from the instant case. Right. So there's a motion still sitting out there that was filed October 3rd. And that was a motion to disqualify Michael Marcy and his entire office from prosecuting Aidan Kearney. Interesting that Cosgrove did not see fit to respond to that motion at all. That was a totally separate filing. As far as I can see. And because the motion to dismiss was a separate filing with its own memorandum of law. And that goes back to September 23rd of 2025. And we know because we read every single paper, I think, in this case, right? This was a excellent live. Thank you so much, Heather Logan. Thank you. You're amazing. All of you guys are amazing. I love you all so very much. And Crispy Treat said earlier, and I started this for later, said, Mel, I sell wines and spirits. It sounds like you have developed an allergy to something that's in the microbrews. And yes, that's a common thing that happens, not necessarily menopausal. Well, here's the thing. No matter what I drink, it doesn't matter if it's wine, it doesn't matter if it's vodka, it doesn't matter if it's hard cider. I try to find things that are organic. It happens with everything. And so I thought maybe it was like sulfites. I tried everything. I'm just like, whatever. I quit. I gave up trying to find something that wouldn't make me allergic because there doesn't seem to be anything. But if you know of anything, you can let me know. Although I don't miss drinking at all, so it really doesn't matter. Kelly says, you, sir, are no John F. Kennedy. Thanks, Kelly, for your 5. And thanks, Karen, for becoming a member. And Music to My Soul says, would it be appropriate for Betterow to file for sanctions for the delayed response and or Cosgrove's comments about Betterow and his writing in this brief? I don't think that's something Betterow would waste his time doing. He's too classy for that. I don't think so. Snark is snark, and I don't think he's going to be insulted by it, and I don't think he's going to ask for sanctions. And I don't think they would ever be granted either. So, the Norfolk DA's office and their proxy and their minions and their puppets, their special prosecutors, just do whatever they want. And there's never any ramifications for their behavior, don't you think? I don't think he's going to ask for it. It's unheard of, though. It is unheard of that a lawyer of any worth, let's just say, or any experience would just blow off a court deadline without contacting anyone, right? Hold on. All right. Mr. Betterow's response will be, ha, 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 ha. All right.
Hello, I'm here.
Oops. Let's do that again.
Hello. Hello. Hello, I'm here.
And Cosgrove's Velcro sneakers is here. Oh my God, that's amazing. And says, when Kate Peter finishes my reply to disqualify, I will post. Oh, well done. That is so well done. You guys, there's 18 more pages to this. There's a Brian Tully affidavit and there's a Cosgrove affidavit, but we can't spoil all the goodness in one show. We're going to have to break this into 2 shows. Okay. And so that's what we're going to do. Thank you, Nikki, who just sent a memo and says, I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. And Caring O2 says it's an inflammatory response to alcohol. I have it. I don't think you have to drink to relax and have fun. I agree. 100%. I don't know why other people are bothered by the fact that I don't order a drink. But listen, a lot of us grew up in homes where, you would walk into your family's house at whatever holiday and be like, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? What do you want? And if I said Diet Coke, it was like, what are you, pregnant again? And I do have 5 kids. So the answer was usually yes, I'm pregnant again. So, I mean, that's the way we grew up. I'm Gen X, I guess. My parents were boomers, right? And so that was a very, a generation that drank a lot. They were drinking all the time. They're always drinking. They didn't even know that it was, they didn't even tell them that you couldn't smoke or drink when you were pregnant. It was just what everybody did, right? And I find that my kids who are Gen Z don't really drink a lot either. So it's interesting. The millennials, all of it different. But I mean, you guys tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Is it risible? Is it risible? Is it polemic? I mean, so many words that we got introduced to today. So much fun. You guys are probably still cooking. Are you still cooking? Jojo says, hi, Melanie. I lost my mom and I miss her so much. You remind me of her. She was a strong, kick-ass woman and she was beautiful. So thank you for being you. You're wonderful. Big love from the UK. Oh, I'm so sorry that you lost your mom. That makes me sad. Mama She, thank you for your very generous Cash App. She comes in with a 50 and she says, so grateful for you and all that you do. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, I am so grateful for you, Mama She, and each and every one of you that chooses to spend so much of your time with me. The hours that we spend together. I mean, really, I spend more time with you guys than, certain members of my family. Christy Lou hasn't even cleaned the kitchen yet. I'm gonna pass on some advice for you. And this comes from a good friend of mine who is now retired FDNY, one of the greatest first responders ever, who said to me that the day before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving in the city of New York is when most oven fires occur. And the reason is that because so many people in New York City use their ovens as storage, and they forget when they preheat their oven that they have stuff in the oven. So please, if you are going to preheat your oven, whether you live in New York City or not, first take a look into your oven and make sure that you didn't fill it with books or something, okay? And also, he told me there are more calls for fires on Thanksgiving because people try and deep fry the turkey. Also, not a good idea. Do not deep fry the turkey. Too many fires can start, and nobody needs the fire department coming to your house on Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving, right? Do not deep fry the turkey. Just forget it. Just forget it. Brine it. It's good if you brine it for like a day or two. If you can get a fresh turkey and not frozen, make sure you take the giblets out too before you cook it. Make sure you take out the giblets. Oh yes, if you didn't watch Jimmy's stream this morning, feel free to go watch it. Will Glera came on, and I do think in song lyrics, and so the only song lyric that came to my mind after that, or while it was going on, was the Bare Naked Ladies. If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I'd buy you a house. I would buy you a house. And some of you will know that reference and some of you won't. And that is all that I'm going to say about it. And Libra in Seattle is brining her turkey right now. And MMK says the affidavits are crazy. Kazi includes a mellow affidavit. Well, don't spoil it. I'll read it with you. Maybe, what time are you guys eating dinner tomorrow? Maybe we could do it in the morning, We do Thanksgiving like a lunch so that it's like afternoon and then we're done. And then we can watch football and we can do all the other Thanksgiving type stuff. I don't like having Thanksgiving dinner too late because then you get too full and it's like, ugh. Right? I love the Bare Naked Ladies too. I love them. Oh, thank you. Love Being a Mimi says, I look for you before I look for anyone else on YouTube. I don't know where it is. And then she says, I look for you every single time I get on YouTube before I look for anything else. I appreciate you so much and wish you the happiest Thanksgiving. Well, I wish you the happiest Thanksgiving also. All of you. And if you have no one to celebrate Thanksgiving with, then I'll come on tomorrow and spend some time with you. How's that sound? Because I know there's a lot of people out there who don't have family and they don't have friends and they're alone on Thanksgiving. And you shouldn't be. So to all of you, make sure you have your notifications set. So if I go live tomorrow, when I go live tomorrow, at some point during the day, I just don't know what time it's going to be, we can spend some time together so that you don't feel so alone. How does that sound? Okay. Well, I'm here for you. If you're alone, I'm here for you. And your friends are here for you. Everyone in the chat is your friend and they are here for you. Because we only let the nice people in. The mean people can go pound sand. They're all on Block Island, which is really quite lovely this time of year. It's really a real place. It's in between Long Island and Rhode Island, and you can take a ferry there. Block Island is lovely. Look up pictures of it. It is lovely. All right. So I'll be here for you tomorrow. Just make sure you have your notifications set. Make sure that they're enabled on your phone. Make sure that you're subscribed still, because YouTube has been wonky. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you comment respectfully. Be nice to each other. And be thankful for everything, because you never know what tomorrow brings. Your life can change in a moment. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Pro Gamer V15 says, the grateful. Thanks from Brussels. Breast of chicken, best in the world. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm gonna have to Google it. Lola says, starting rumor that Melanie is now Charlie Sheen's sober buddy. Hashtag winning. Hashtag winning. He's been sober for 8 years, and I loved his documentary. And I said that even before I had the opportunity to personally ask him a question today. So yeah, do that. All right. Go back and watch Billy Bush's show with Charlie Sheen. Leave a nice comment underneath it that I sent you all over there. And I couldn't believe that only 300 people were watching. I was like, Charlie Sheen is here live, and nobody was super chatting to ask a question. The affidavits are crazy. Kazi includes them. Oh, thank you. I covered that one. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Johnny. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Johnny. Thanks for being here 14 months. You know, listen, only 20% of the subscribers to this channel are men. But the men that can hang with these tough women in here are, you know, pretty special. Because they get it. Not everybody gets me. Not everybody gets my sense of humor. They don't get it. And that's fine. I'm not for everyone. That's okay. I'm okay with it. But the men that do hang out here are really among the coolest. Ms. Holmes, thank you. Says, are you cooking for tomorrow? No, I'm not. I am not cooking. And that's why I'm here with you. Because if I was cooking, I'd be cooking all night long. Because I like to do a lot of it the day before. And I may be one of the only people out there that loves mashed sweet potatoes. So I always have them on my menu. Put a little maple syrup in there, a little butter. Ah, it's delicious. I mean, the best butter out there is the Irish. You got to get the Irish butter. You got to have the Irish butter. It's more expensive, but it's so worth it. What's the name of the Irish butter with the green packaging? It's like Dubliner or something. What's the name of that butter? Does anybody know? I love that Irish butter. And really, nothing better. Thank you, Ms. Holmes, for each super chat. And Jadzia says, or if you're Jen McCabe, if I had $1 million, I'd buy you a couch. Oh, I would buy you a couch. But not a real green couch. That's cruel. Kerrygold butter. That is it. Kerrygold butter. Thank you. Kerrygold butter is the best. Highly recommend. It is worth the extra couple of bucks. It's the best. All right. Are we good? It was on sale. Kerrygold is the best. I'm telling you, once you go Kerrygold, you will never go back to, I can't believe it's not butter. Oh, I can believe it's not butter. Oh, I absolutely can believe it's not butter. It is nothing like butter. It does not resemble butter. It has nothing to do with butter. And Kerrygold is the best. 100%. 100%. Hands down, prove me wrong. Unless there's a better butter. There is a better butter. Like if you go to Paris or other places in Europe, you can get unpasteurized butter, which is really the best butter. But you can't get that here. Can't get that here because we don't allow it. Jess and Jeff Machado and Auntie Deb yesterday was priceless. I did not watch it. I have to go back and watch that too. But I, pressed for time, Jerry. But thank you to everyone else who should go back and watch that also. I don't know. I think Billy Bush might be getting shadow banned, and I don't know how to help him fix it, but we got to help him fix it. Ain't no way. There should have been only 300 people watching Charlie Sheen live today. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable that he's getting shadow banned if that is true. And I can't prove it, but I don't know. It just makes me wonder. And I still don't know why Linda Bodden and Michael Bryant's streams are getting taken down. I'm going to have to figure that out too, because that should not be allowed to happen either. I can't allow that. I can't allow it. Right? All right. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns before we wrap it. Before we wrap it again. You guys good? Are we good? All right. Do all the things, you guys. Do all the things. Get to cooking, cleaning, whatever it is that you need to do. Love you all. I love you all, every single one of you. Even if you say mean things about me behind my back. Big Dog says, I like listening to you, Broken Baker, Emily, and other various law cover stuff. I get different opinions and analysis. I know. It's not a competition. Listen, if somebody listens to me, they're going to still listen to Emily. They're going to still listen to Peter. They're going to still listen to Andrea. They're going to listen to Defense Diaries. Everyone listens to everyone. It's not a competition. All right. There's room for everyone here on the tubes of you. Right. There's you and you know, you'll listen to Justice Served and you'll listen to, it's just the way it is, right? Mod Squad on point. Thank you, mods. I love you with all my heart. Happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. A blessed Thanksgiving. There's something else I was going to tell you guys. And now I forgot. I have forgotten. But I am grateful for each and every one of you. All right. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. I know you can do it. I know you can. Thank the moderators. And don't eat too much turkey because that L-tryptophan just makes you tired and stuff. All right. Peace out, you guys. I will see you tomorrow at some point. So you're going to want to make sure you have everything set so that you are ready to go. Peace. Good night, everybody.